What is going on, everybody? It is episode 212 of Pop Culture Crisis. I know that because I know it by heart because I usually write it down on my notepad, which I did not do today, which is a sign of the times, my friends. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. Before you even mention it, no, I'm not wearing a beanie. I forgot. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the end of it. And today we are joined by Fast and Furious Stan. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Hannah Claire Brimlow. I'm a writer for timcast.com, and I'm being forced to watch all the Fast and the Furious movies.
Could you give us a deep, in-depth, really huge analysis of the second Fast and the Furious movie, please?
Okay, so here is the thing. 3 weeks ago, I watched the first one and came in on the week.
Was it 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, because then the following... So I watched per our agreement, I watched the first one, gave you a review, said it was okay. This next week came by, and I never watch movies. I'm just not good about sitting down to do that.
She's too good for them.
So I missed a week, and I was like, I'll get better. I'll try to make it every other week. At 11 o'clock last night, I was like, oh, no, I have not watched Fast and Furious 2. You guys don't understand. I set a timer on my phone all weekend. I was like, I'm going to watch this movie and come in prepared. Yeah. So I turned on at like 11:45, and I got to see Ludacris with a beautiful, quite stylish afro. And after that, all I remember is like flashes of cars and something else. So I fell asleep. But I actually don't think that's a condemnation of Fast and Furious 2. I think that's just my poor planning and my exhaustion. So I will endeavor to watch Fast and Furious 2 and come back with better analysis.
I mean, it does have Eva Mendes in it. That's a positive.
I didn't see her, to be fair.
When did you turn on the alarm to watch it? When was it for?
I had like a reminder on my phone set for like Friday and Saturday. But I was just crazy busy this weekend. And again, like, I haven't seen any other movies. Like, if I'm watching a movie right now, it's Fast and the Furious, which are words I never thought I would say. But in my effort to try and get better, at least do it every other week, I failed.
Yes.
But I'm being honest with you guys. All I know so far is that there are cars in the movie, and Ludacris has a serious afro.
See, the best part of that movie is Ludacris he's wearing like the actual like mechanics uniform.
Oh yeah.
See, I wish I could pull that off.
And I hate to say this, but like there was like a close-up shot of his like profile and mouth, and I was like, "Is that Ludacris?"
Yes.
And then it was. And why I know what the side profile of Ludacris's face is beyond me.
You know, his manager just got arrested for like triple homicide. Can we say that?
Homicide.
So he or maybe it was double. Like he Minecrafted two dudes who like tried to rob him or something outside of like an
Excuse me, I'm not familiar with this pop culture vernacular.
It's just
Minecraft.
He unalived.
He unalived two guys with a firearm.
We're gonna talk about that later.
No, that's not on our list at all.
No,
today.
we're just gonna talk about Minecrafting.
Yes, we will. So yeah, his manager, his like longtime manager that he's had for years, was apparently getting jumped in Atlanta and like pulled a weapon and took these two dudes out and like just got arrested for it.
It was like self-defense.
It seemed like self-defense to me, but I could be wrong.
Now it's not clear.
Not in Atlanta.
Well,
so,
okay.
So you're gonna try again to watch it again.
Yes, I try to time it for the weekend so that like on Tuesdays when I come in, it's fresh. But I might just have to start doing it as soon as I can.
Do what I do. Take copious notes.
No,
I thought you were gonna say something else.
Copious notes is a great way to ruin entertainment watching. That's what I've learned. It's more fun to just watch.
I actually, after the first one, got kind of excited for this like assignment, like analyze movies, because like Fast and Furious, I actually had never seen, and it was just part of my sequels are unnecessary and actually damage original content produced by Hollywood. And now I feel like I'm being put to the test. Like, does this stand true? Because there are 9 Fast and the Furious movies, which seems excessive. But like I said,
10 if you count Hobbs and Shaw.
Are we counting Hobbs?
Yes, we are. I do, because it's called Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
What the heck? I thought I had 17 hours to go.
You don't have to. You know, I don't think you technically have to watch Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, Lord.
Don't add more to
I'm not. I'm just saying that theoretically.
Like, this is the only movie I'm going to watch for the rest of not just this year, but probably well into next. It's rough.
Yeah.
That is making me not like it. But.
Someone said, I thought Wednesdays were Lydia. Sir, it's Tuesday.
Sir, I was concerned.
It's one of those kind of days.
Wednesdays are Lydia, but
yes.
As it is Tuesday. Could you do me a favor? I hate to do this live. Could you turn on my headphones a little bit?
Up or down?
Up.
Up, yes,
I feel
again.
like they're off.
Okay.
Guys, I'm high maintenance today. I can't watch movies per assignment. Thank you so much. That's perfect. But yeah.
It's okay. We forgive you.
I did.
And we're
I did
still
legitimately
trying.
turn it on. It's like having a homework assignment that you're panicked about.
Yes,
It's like
it
midnight.
is.
You're like, oh no. So
Every time we're gonna review something and there's a sequel before it, I get like
I feel like
I
I-
get frustrated that I have to like go
Every
back and
episode
rewatch
of
it.
Rings of Power.
No, actually, that's the least
No?
of it.
Okay.
Out of all the things we've watched, I like the first 2 episodes. Yeah, I definitely dreaded it. And the show's not good, but at least I can turn it on and kind of zone out.
Okay.
And like take general notes and still not know any character names, and nobody gets mad at you because nobody knows the character names because it's stupid.
I had this moment where I was like, I could watch a bunch of clips of it on YouTube and then
just
come in
fake
and
it.
just make
Just
it
Spark
through.
Notes it.
Yeah, but then I felt like that's not holding up my end of the bargain, so I don't want to lie about it.
You have integrity.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
I have integrity and no ability to manage when I'm watching a movie.
So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Besides Fast and Furious, we're going to talk about the fact that Avatar, not Avatar: The Last Airbender, but James Cameron's Avatar, is in fact not a Psy-Op, which I still believe 110%. It is one of those things that I've seen. It's kind of a joke that's gone across multiple YouTube channels that I watch. But as far as I have seen, as it integrates into the real world, it's pretty damn close. And I've got a couple of bits of information here and data that might lend itself to why it may feel that way here. But it does feel to me like Avatar: not The Last Airbender, that James Cameron's Avatar is a Psy-Op. But apparently I'm wrong because the numbers.
No.
What is happening? That one was enthusiastic.
Wow.
I wish there was a way to do like a meter, so that like depending on how much they donated, it gave more.
Yeah, it goes for longer. I don't know.
So
I think no matter how much organic success Avatar has, I'm still gonna believe it's a psyop. Sorry.
So we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about Armie Hammer's wife proving once again that Hollywood is all fake, no matter how tragic the tale is. It's all
pretty
fake.
sick.
It's all PR. And then after that, we're going to talk about the rise of Chinese celebrities and how they, as a group, managed to kind of promulgate the message that China wants to push upon the world, and they're
They're
very, very good at it,
instruments of world domination. We're just gonna say it.
as the thumbnail will say tomorrow. So we're going to get into that, and then I'm also going to I want to talk. I know Tim talked last night about Alec Baldwin being
Who's Tim?
Tim. He's
Who
a
is he?
He's an employee here. He's
At
got
Pop
this
Culture
show.
Crisis Media?
Yeah, Pop Culture Crisis Media. He's got this show called IRL. They're a
I've heard of it.
scrappy
Earl?
bunch
What's
over there.
Earl? I don't get it.
It's a young
Errol?
startup. It's a young
Oh,
startup
fun.
here. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get into. But last night he talked about Alec Baldwin. I almost called him Adam Baldwin. Alec Baldwin. It's looking like he's going to be prosecuted, or there's evidence to suspect that he will be prosecuted. But I want to pull it back to another story of another young celebrity who did something similar and is getting almost no press for it, despite the fact that I actually find it kind of more interesting. More so than the ramifications of what's going on with Alec Baldwin.
It's more about the media coverage that's interesting.
So we're going to get into all that in Podluck. So if you ladies are ready, we will get right into it. Mary, are we ready?
Let's go.
Hannah Claire, are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So it says, Avatar re-release wows with $30 million at the global box office. To which I say, what?
I say,
What?
wow,
Why
because
did
they wowed us.
re-release it?
Well, the
Just because we're
Avatar
about to get
2.
the next one, and they're like,
Yeah. That's becoming very
Exciting.
common now for movies
Well,
that with these long running.
Because everyone forgot about the first Avatar because it was so forgettable.
you know which Avatar I've never forgotten about in my life?
Which
that
one?
animated one with the flying bison or whatever.
The Last Airbender
Yeah,
series?
that's the
That was
better
great.
of the last
And
ep-
actually, it was funny because, like, when the James Cameron Avatar came out, it was in theaters at the exact same time as the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender movie by M. Night Shyamalan. And it was so confusing when you were asking people, like, have you seen Avatar yet?
And they're like, why would I go see that?
Both of them, in my opinion, sucked. But
heard
I guess
the
the
live-
difference is just that the blue people Avatar made way more money.
Yeah.
According
I heard
to
that
the
the
chat-
live action one,
according
it's bad.
to the chat,
Really bad.
people like it. Like
Which one?
Our chat. People.
No,
like,
which
I saw,
which
What
movie?
did you
the James Cameron one.
Okay,
And this
but
is
it
one of
was
those
such
things,
climate change propaganda.
I
The
mean,
first movie,
that
at
might
least.
that
I don't
might
know
be
about
more
the
of a
And there
new
were
problem
one.
no
now.
flying bison in it. I don't understand.
It was about like how it was sort of Wall-E, but more preachy and
weirder.
not charming the same way.
People were
It
less sensitive to that stuff than they are now.
But it was the same.
I don't know.
I think it was the same messaging apparatus and the same goal behind it. Like the story, if anyone remembers, I doubt anyone does.
I don't. I literally remember nothing about it.
Well, they're looking for this substance called unobtainium on Pandora.
There's a hint there on what the issue might be.
Wow, yeah, it's unobtainable. And it's like the humans are invading this indigenous species and trying to take their resources because they're greedy and all they care about is profits and industrialization, etc. So I just found it preachy, the story, but no one remembered the story because the movie actually sucked and they only wanted to see it for like watching it in 3D.
And
Which
I
is-
stand
It
by
was
the
just
theory.
visually interesting.
I was going to say that seemed to be something that might work back then and wouldn't work now, but what the hell do I know? It just made $30 million in one weekend over a decade after its release. So it says
I don't believe these numbers though.
in anticipation of the sequel.
20.5 million internationally. They just
Well,
released
no,
it.
this
They
is-
like released it in a country that it was previously banned in.
This
so they
is
finally
why-
made the money off of it.
It makes
I
the
don't know if that's
money
true.
because it only made in its original run, its first run through theaters, only 26% of it of its total gross over all 2.9 billion. Only 26% of that comes from America, which is why I think it may feel like a psyop here because there's a hell of a lot less people that care about it here than do abroad.
Well, it says 10 million in North America. I don't know how much of that is the U.S.
No, that's North
That's
America
Mexico
and Canada.
and Canada, too.
So, but what I'm saying is the 10 million in the U.S. and 20 million internationally follows along the line of what happened when it originally came out, where almost all its money was made overseas, not in the U.S.
Yeah.
It was also a testament to the similar concept of Top Gun Maverick, which is that it didn't have an amazing opening weekend. It made like 77 million in its opening weekend, but it had extremely long legs and great word of mouth, meaning that it was like number one for 7 weeks in a row, which I think is still a record.
I don't know. I stand by
there's-
my theory with this one that the 20.5 million that were made internationally were in places that either couldn't show the 3D or whatever was special about this movie then, or literally never screened the movie ever, and so it's new content somewhere. I
But
feel
there's
like
no way it was banned anywhere because it's so inoffensive.
I just don't
China might be like,
believe.
Did they not like
No,
the hair
no.
sex scene?
oh, by the way,
I just whenever they're like it re-released money, and I feel like all of these numbers, all this data is so twisted. Like I'm being cynical right now. I have no evidence to back this up, but sometimes I just feel like they're like, well, we made $10 million, but actually it's just $10 million that we were supposed to get paid the first time, and the theater finally paid us or something.
No,
You know what I mean?
trust
Like,
trust your intuition for
well,
sure.
actually, I've if you really think about it,
it's like Amazon was specifically screened it, so to boost the numbers or something.
yeah.
the movie has a budget of let me see what the budget is for the new one. The new one,
Which is apparently like 4 hours long.
Yeah, and this guy was like, "We're gonna need bathroom breaks."
So he knows how
See, I think-
shitty it is.
$250 million. So that means it's got a marketing budget of over $100 million. Which means they could have just spent 20 million of that pretending like a bunch of people bought tickets to make it seem more appealing, as if it makes people want to go see the sequel.
Yep.
There
It's all
was
fake.
it wasn't there some theory that box office numbers are inflated that way, where they just buy out theaters and they're empty and they do these empty screenings
That happened a bunch
on the opening weekend at least.
That happened a bunch for Captain Marvel. They said that it was sold out everywhere and people were taking pictures inside movie
that
theaters.
confirmed?
It's like when people buy
Never
their own,
confirmed.
they buy like warehouses full of their own books, so it'll like bump up
Yeah.
on the bestseller list.
There was also a really funny thing where like Brie Larson like advertised like a GoFundMe to get make or like a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe to like get people to be able to go see it rather than just like donating money herself.
That's so dumb.
So it does feel like a psyop. I don't know anybody in the world that actually cares about Avatar.
That's the thing, they don't care. But they're watching it because it's visually interesting and there's no other factor. And I don't even know how that's possible because it is over a decade old. The technology they used to make it at the time, I know, was a selling point. Like, everyone was really interested in how they I don't know the name of this, but like they did that effect where it like connects different there are like dots that they use to like
it's like
do
part
the
of
visual
CGI, where
CGI that as they like the characters would move and then they would be able to like
Yeah, and a bunch of clips of that. They're in these like black suits with the lines, so the computer can track the movement.
Yes,
of their limbs,
yeah, I forget
so
what
they
the
look
name
more
of that is.
I don't know what
but,
it's called.
But that
a bunch of clips of that just resurfaced as this was coming out.
Well,
like
the behind the scenes
motion
footage.
capture?
Yeah, but like there's something. What is
Someone
that
in the chat will
specifically
know.
called? But like the behind the scenes footage of that, I remember more than the actual movie, because people were interested in the CGI more than the story, which is why no one remembers the story. I don't know how they're going to continue on it.
Four more movies.
How many of the same actors have been hired for this one?
4 more movies. Aren't you excited about that?
no,
4?
Ugh, I hate this
It
so
advertises
much.
them all the way up to the 5th. Yep, see, Avatar 3, 4, and
What?
5.
That's the thing. Like, all of this doesn't matter. They're going to tell you it's selling out so much because the studio has already put money behind making 4 of them. Like, they don't need you to see it. They have decided it's going to succeed. And that's crazy. This is one of the things that I know this is my age-old soapbox, but, like, if you know they're making a universe out of something, which I believe for the first Avatar, they didn't necessarily know. That's why there's been such a gap. But like, if you know they're gonna produce 5 movies, just know you no longer matter. They have decided that they don't need your dollars and they don't need your review to make this content. Like, and that doesn't hold them to a very high standard. Like, I think movies should have some accountability, and really it's supposed to be the audience. You need to make movies that engage the audience. This is allowing them to basically produce garbage for no reason.
Almost all the actors are coming back that I see here.
So they are going to jump ahead in time, at least to control for the fact that they look different now, right?
I would assume, or they could de-age. I don't know.
Well, like the guy that decides to live on the planet, like in the one trailer I saw, it's like I think he has kids with the blue lady that he decided he was into.
After they had hair sex.
Yep.
Oh, we have that here. By the
Maybe
way.
a selling point of watching the re-release in theaters could be, but it wasn't, that they would show the extended version that was on DVD.
They did that in some of the other re-releases.
Theatrical re-release?
In the second re-release, they showed the extended cut, not the original cut. But that is why the people were asking why the Avatar re-release doesn't have the hair sex scene. To which I said, what? Because I don't think I ever watched it on DVD.
Yeah, well, you said you didn't watch it at all.
Yeah, like
Did you watch it ever?
No, I saw it in theaters, but I didn't see. I never saw this scene.
Yeah.
And I remember nothing about this
You
movie.
don't remember this scene?
Because there's this like
It's
white.
dumb. It's weird.
I think I remember like vaguely. I haven't rewatched this scene, but there's like this white fiber that's in their hair, like in the middle of
I
their
know they like wrap
braid,
their hairs together.
and then their hair like connects, like their braids connect.
Yeah.
As he's like in his blue person avatar.
So people were wondering if it was some type of censorship that prevented this from being in the movie. To which they say apparently that they just showed the original theatrical cut, in that the hair sex scene was in the extended edition, not in the original theatrical cut of the movie.
Clearly left a
I
strong
definitely
impression.
do not think that I saw the extended theatrical cut. I know I saw it in theaters. I know I saw this scene.
What year? Roughly.
Is this a
I think I
Mandela
know
effect?
what year.
Did you see the original, or did you
Like
see
when
it
it got
re-released?
released.
Okay.
No, you think I wanted to see a re-release of Avatar, Brett? Do you know me at all?
I have no idea.
That's insulting.
I can't even watch Fast and the Furious, which has been out for years. Like, you
Fair
think
point.
I'm organized enough to go to a theater to see a movie?
But
I
it
don't
feels like I did see it in theaters. That hair scene.
I know I saw the hair. I've only
This
seen
feels like
Avatar
a
once. I've
big Mandela
only seen
effect.
it in theaters, and I know I saw that scene.
They list that here. They say they ask if this was the Mandela
They're
effect.
lying.
No, it was in the theater. There's no way I would pay to watch this. I know I saw it in theater, but whatever. I think I saw it like the summer it came out.
Stand your ground.
It says
The
they
numbers are fake, and we did see the hair sex scene in
Like,
theaters.
if they don't know that this iconic scene that everyone talked about that summer was in the movie, like, this whole franchise is lying to you. Don't believe anything they tell you about these numbers.
Maybe it's just like an MK Ultra thing.
This
Continued.
whole thing is MK Ultra. If you saw the trailer for the second one, it's just visual effects, CGI water, and ambient music, and no dialogue, nothing to actually intrigue you to a story.
The very first time we did a segment on this, and whoever the director is was like, you're going to need bathroom breaks because it's 3 hours long or whatever.
Yeah.
I looked at both of you and I said, that means he doesn't have a plot, and he wants you to have to leave the theater so that you feel like you missed something because this movie actually makes no sense, but he wants a cover for it. I stand by this analysis.
There's a
completely.
fair amount of there's a good
I was
enough
so heated
argument.
about this
Just
subject.
assume that the plot hinged upon those 5 minutes that
Yeah,
you were out of
I
the theater.
honestly feel like that's what he's trying to do. Like, to make up for the fact that this doesn't make sense, but they're still gonna make 3 more of them. They're like, we have to get them. We have to make it so that they aren't interested in the plot always. They are divorced from the plot because we kept them hostage and they had to go to the bathroom.
Look at how realistic that CGI water is.
You know what they should do?
We definitely made money off of it.
Is they should create an app that you connect to a Wi-Fi network when you're in the theater, so that when you leave, it immediately connects to your phone and allows you to watch it while you go to the bathroom, and then you can keep your eye on it while watching it, and then follow it back so that you don't miss anything, and then disconnects as soon as you leave the theater.
Okay,
That
but
would
how
be-
are you gonna hear it?
Oh yeah, I guess I have headphones in all the time. So
Yeah,
just people walking around.
Genius
Just
business idea.
Just people walking around with different movies playing on their phone. I support this idea.
Yeah,
James
with the
Cameron-
flushing toilets in the
Brett's
background.
always telling me he can't hear out of one ear, but actually he's just not listening to me.
James Cameron is a fairly trustworthy person if you like Terminator, Terminator 2, but we will not speak of everything past then. Titanic, if you like Titanic.
It's all right.
Aliens.
It's all right.
So it's not that he's not a good director. It's that nobody gives a crap about Avatar.
It means he doesn't give a crap anymore.
I think he does. I think he does care about this. Otherwise, why commit
I
yourself
don't
to
think
5
so.
of them?
See, that's the thing. It's like getting tenure for professors. Like, he's already got 5 movies in the bank. They're going to pay him no matter what. So what is the point?
But he's writing it too. He's writing and directing. It's not like he's
Sure, he can make more money that way, but he doesn't have to write anything. He's sending people out of the theater, so he doesn't have to have a plot. Like, this guy has it made. There is no reason for him to put any effort into this.
We were talking about that AI generated film, shorts series and soon to be film Salt the other day, and I said maybe the
Thank
line
you.
between AI art and human art is going to be blurred as not as AI gets more developed, but as human beings become more AI like.
Maybe
And
James
this is
Cameron
exactly
just
what
AI.
I'm talking about. This movie feels like it's something that you'd strap in to watch on VR with your Neuralink, and it just auto generates as you sit there, and it shows you, peaceful CGI water scenes and
A
like
decade ago, it would have been made to be
jungles and rainforests and dragons
watched. I
and
bet you
whatever.
most of the people that have seen it saw it on an airplane.
You think?
I remember.
we saw
Do
it
they
in
make money off of that?
Never mind. That is like now. I was trying to think. I was like, I felt like
That's how I
I'd
saw
seen.
Talladega Nights.
I
which
felt like
never
I
would've
saw
seen in
scenes of this. I saw
That's how I
this.
saw Boss Baby.
I did see. So I have seen this more than once, and I still don't remember it because when I went to the first time I went to Spain, this was like one of the options on
he's
the
been to
on
Spain.
the, like.
Oh,
This is one
but
of
he
the-
hung out with Shakira.
I did.
And
I
committed
did.
tax fraud with
so
her.
are you gonna have to testify?
Yes. This is one of the movies that was playing on the like for international flights because it's so damn long that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's globalist.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
globalist,
it's like-
so you can watch it on
And
international
you don't
fall
have
asleep.
to be able to speak the language because you just get to watch all of the shiny
It makes
stuff go
sense no matter
around.
what.
This
So-
is a garbage movie. I didn't even think
So
it was
mad.
like, I wasn't even so heated. I didn't like it. It's fine. But I just don't trust this whole enterprise and franchise. I think they're going to manipulate all of the analytics that come with this. Just like I think this tenured director is going to not come up with anything creative.
How do they manipulate it then?
How does it
You said they're gonna
Manipulate the success
You said they're
of
going
it?
to manipulate the numbers. How do they do that?
I think that they probably have a contract with whatever major studio or Amazon to just be like, oh yeah, we definitely sold out, but they're buying tickets like we're saying, or
But isn't that lying to their
You can't lie to the shareholders.
shareholders?
And, also, the studio that wouldn't be beneficial for the actual theaters because the theaters take a piece of that growth, so they want people in those seats.
But
Unless you're saying they're literally buying
if
the
they
tickets
literally
themselves.
buy the tickets, the theaters don't care if people actually show up. In fact, they'd probably like it if people didn't show up because you get the money, but you don't have to clean up.
No,
after
because
them.
they don't make the money that way. That they make their money off of concession stands. That's how they make their money. They
just
only
let
get-
her believe in the conspiracy
when
theory. It's true.
when the theater keeps 40% of the income, the studio keeps 60%. Unless you're Disney, I think they keep a little bit more. So if the theater wants to make any money profit, they have to get people to go there for long movies and buy
but do
actual
these studios
food.
actually care about the theater at all?
No, they don't.
So
But
really
then why
what
would
they're
this- but
saying
why
is to
would
have a
this-
contract with any kind of streaming service is more beneficial. We talk about this all the time. Fewer people go to the movies. Really,
It's Disney.
what
It's
they-
going to Disney Plus and nowhere else.
So it's going to Disney Plus,
Yeah.
which means that Disney Plus is trying to hype this movie to drive people to its platform so that more people will subscribe to Disney Plus than to any other streaming platform. Either way you look at it, it's totally corrupt. I stand by this. I stand by this conspiracy theory that I made up right now.
I'm going to go ahead and say that the money will be made, but it won't be made here. It'll be made overseas.
Where
just
overseas
like
do you think?
Well, I
China
actually have the numbers here from the first.
Who likes this movie is what I want to know.
That's a very good question. Who the hell does like it?
Someone in the chat said, after Titanic, James Cameron realized that he only has to worry about his own story, and there are plenty of copywriters to make it make money. If you spend millions, people will watch you take a leak. True.
Basically, yeah. But I'm saying that people will spend the money to go see it. If, like I said, it would be a fantastic marketing move for them to spend the money, to spend $10 million here in the U.S. to make it seem like this movie did really, really well over the weekend. But do I think they actually did that? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but that does seem to be dishonest to shareholders if they did that.
Yeah, if they're reinvesting their own money into it and it's not actual profit that's going back
Yeah.
into the company, yeah, then that's just shady booking or shady.
But there are
bookkeeping.
ways that you can dishonestly report the real numbers, I guess, like selectively telling the truth
Maybe
and
it's-
omitting certain facts. I don't know.
Maybe it's like in
Yeah.
Zoolander when the song "Relax, Don't Do It" comes on and Zoolander becomes an assassin. Maybe it's secretly there, it connects to people's brains and turns them into droids.
Look, probably my intuition is that the success is real, like the box office numbers are real, and it's only because people's tastes have degraded so much that they watch something like this or its sequel and genuinely see no problem with it.
See, I think it could be a golden chance for this movie to do really, really well if they got away from the climate change propaganda and they just
They
made
won't,
it.
though.
And they just made it a movie that didn't have anything to do with white, black, or different races. Like I said, and either anthropomorphic characters or non-humans, blue people.
Well, in 2010, you really didn't need to worry about that.
Now you do, so now they should lean into it.
They're going to lean into that part of
Yeah.
it. But if anything, the climate change agenda is only going to be more noticeable in the plot this time around, or they're going to pick some other pet issue that is tangentially related to reality.
I don't think they're going to lean into the fact that people are blue. I think they're going to use that to continuously talk about race as
It's
well
more
as
like
the environment.
Yeah, they compared it with like speciesism. Do you know what I mean? Like human beings believe themselves to be superior to the what are these people called?
The Na'vi.
The Na'vi. So it's not really what you're proposing, which is the anthropomorphic
I'm saying that it could be
solution.
if they were smart, but they won't be smart.
I stand by. Tenured director doesn't need to do anything for you. He gets to do what he wants and make as much money as possible.
You will watch him take a leak, and you will take a leak in the middle.
James Cameron has done a fair amount of good work in his career.
What do you guys think of watching things in 3D anyway?
I can't do it.
I find it underwhelming.
I don't get it. I only like the IMAX stuff for like nature documentaries. You know, you go to like a crazy aquarium and they show you how like be a fish. Like that's cool. I'll sit in that for 30 minutes, but I don't want to watch a 3-hour movie in like 3D. That's
So,
dumb.
Avatar: The Way of the Water 2022, Avatar 3 2024, Avatar 4 2026, and Avatar 5 2028. That's like whoever gets elected next, you're gonna go through two.
I want a president to come out and strongly saying they will put an end to the Avatar movies.
National moratorium on sequels. Hannah Claire just called for it.
I will vote for this.
Whenever you're old enough to run for president, I hope that this will be your platform.
Okay, I'll put that in. Because I just think that we need to hold ourselves to a higher cultural standard. And I will say this in a campaign speech.
Yes.
Like, I just think this is
Go
crazy. Why would we have a movie scheduled through 2026 that is number one dumb? Like, before you come at me with the put in made money.
Someone said the world won't even be around by then.
See,
a lot of people genuinely feel that way.
Is that
though.
Mark Ruffalo in our chat?
Maybe.
The amount of people,
it depends on why you're saying that, but a lot of people feel that way. And how am I supposed to be motivated to wait for Avatar 5 by the time I'm 28?
Also, is waiting for Avatar 5 supposed to motivate
Am I
you?
supposed to be excited?
No. Dumb.
I'm not buying into the narrative.
That's the thing. Like,
James
if
Cameron.
we had new, refreshing, exciting culture, people would feel not as doom and gloom. Like, there are a lot of really difficult things going on right now in the world, and I can understand where people are starting to get into the, like, well, it's all just going to fall apart mentality. But if we had true pursuit of creativity and art, if we held culture to a higher standard, like, I do think some of the... But we got to keep going mentality. We got to push through. That got us through several world wars would stick around. And I just think Avatar is intentionally trying to make people depressed. No, I'm just kidding.
Could be.
Maybe.
Absolutely could be. Well, I mean,
It's all just
climate doomerism is like worse now than it's ever been in history. We were talking about that the other day when we were talking about how Gen Z has been fed a constant diet of the world is ending and it's your job to fix it. Thanks, boomers.
Climate change anxiety is one of the number one reasons people cite for not wanting to have children. And I think that is bananas.
Yeah. Well, these people are they're naive.
Well, if you were told that the planet was going to like collapse in on itself and nothing you could do could save it, in fact everything you do makes it worse, like I can understand starting to be like,
and if you're shown like a 4-hour CGI, basically nature documentary that's like meant to hypnotize you and put you in a trance that forwards this message to you, what are you supposed to conclude when you walk out dazed and
Should we have thought the same thing when Avatar came out 10 years after Gore said that the world was that the ocean levels were going to rise? And
you didn't think it was environmentalist themed propaganda at the time?
No, I'm saying like, but it's worse now. Why is it worse now? It's because the internet makes it worse.
Well, it's worse now, I think, because people have gotten so conflicted over the best ways to handle environmental crisis. Like when Al Gore was like, the environment's in trouble, let us do something. People were like, yeah, let's do something. And now there's a lot of there was a huge push to be like, wind turbines are the future. And now there's studies that show that wind turbines are actually not the like perfect solution that people thought they were. I think in
going
some
to
ways,
see Avatar 2 is the solution.
Which what?
Apparently.
I think that like we are being fed a more fear-mongering environmentalist agenda because it's the only way to make people feel truly engaged with it as the conversation and the science around it becomes more complex, right?
I mean, the science is the funny part, because whenever people say, like you said, they were told back then, you know, we need to do this, but nobody can actually cite you any example of like what made it better, right? Like as somebody who knows nothing about it, but also knows that government overreach is a poisonous thing. What was the company that Obama funded in 2000? Solaris. I don't know. It was like a green energy company that they gave like $800 million to, and then it folded instantly. Yeah. Like, or anybody can Google anything that says like how many politicians have predicted the end of the world for as long as we've been around. But young people aren't looking for stuff like that. They're looking at whatever's on the headlines, which is why they now have climate action on the top of all the websites.
I think for
we're getting a little bit off topic.
Well, I think for a long time, environmentalist issues were sort of this neutral, like you could be, but I'm pro the environment without needing to be specifically, like you were left leaning, but you weren't so left. And actually some of the most intense environmental conservationists that I know are very serious conservatives because they want to conserve the earth to continue to promote culture, right? And I think in a lot of ways that could add to the like doom fear mongering, because it means that more people than ever from both sides of the political aisle are on this idea that like if we don't intervene in the destruction of the planet, then there's nowhere to go.
Doesn't matter anyways, because as long as China and India are doing what they're doing, it doesn't matter.
I think
we're getting a little off course.
Exactly.
I was going to say, I don't think this justifies 5 Avatar movies.
It absolutely justifies 5 Avatar movies as long as it makes money.
It definitely doesn't help with the hopelessness.
No, it doesn't.
Doom and
when you can't even get away from it in the movies you watch, it's no wonder kids are so depressed. They don't
want you to feel hopeful. They want you to feel doomed.
Caper2X said, "So cute and so forgetful. The PCC hosts curse."
Not high.
Thank you. I think.
What? I don't get it.
About
I
the
forgot
Fast
my
and the Furious.
beanie.
Oh, right.
You forgot your movie. And we're just all forgetting things. Call Me Snow Possum said, "Best Fast and Furious is the first 3. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh is better than Pokemon."
Ooh,
if Dane were here, I bet he would agree with you.
He would agree with you.
But Pokemon made more money, as Brett would say.
I would.
Suini said, if you ask Tim, you'll have to watch Hobbs and Shaw. Don't ask Tim then.
Yeah,
Easy fix.
Who is Tim?
I don't know.
I don't know that name. Caper2X said, Brett, how much military expertise have you got?
Exactly 0 military
Okay.
expertise.
Caper2X also asked,
Bringing
Peeps,
it on nothing.
can we suspect Mary being in the CIA SOD? What does SOD mean?
It would be
I'm playing dumb now.
In fact, it would be
What's
way
that?
It would be way cooler if Mary was a spy rather than a Fed.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And that
would be
makes
cool,
more
says Mary.
sense.
She regrets that she didn't make it through spy training. Only get to be a Fed.
Waffle Sensei said, we don't talk about the live action Avatar The Last Airbender. Is this our first time on the internet, fam? Remembering its existence violates my mind.
We apologize, Waffles.
I hated it too.
I think it's important to look back at our history and know where we came from to be able to see where we made mistakes.
And that's one of them. I remember like how they I think they used like air vents or something to make
the
these
wind or something.
the wind, and then also like they had the earth bending, but instead of just using CGI to show them actually like moving rocks kinetically, they had like it just looked like they were like throwing rocks in the air, like little turd pebbles. They looked like literal turds that they were like throwing in the air. It looked
never
so
saw this movie,
bad.
But I do remember that it got in a lot of trouble because it was like it didn't cast people of like correct ancestry. Like I guess all the lead actors were white.
Well, it was all
And I was
mixed
like,
up.
it's a whole fictional world.
Well,
Like,
yes, but like I understand they would want them to look like the cartoon characters at least, and
Who
they
are
just
also
switched
fake.
it all around.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't know. Yesh said, "Return your cart, ghost fed."
Ghost Spy. Not
She didn't make it
Ghost
through
Fed.
spy school. She didn't want to talk about it.
No, and I'm not a fed.
She's a
Louis
spy.
P said, Avatar does not hold up at all. Dances with Wolves plus blue people for a plot. At the time, though, it was cultural phenomenon because of the technology.
It is.
Agree.
It was almost entirely based around the technology of the movie.
Yeah, well, that's
which is
why-
outdated now.
Right, that's what I remember about that summer. Like, it's not that people wanted to see Avatar, but they wanted to see whatever was going on in action. I just think, especially given how many massive DC and Marvel franchises are out there that probably use similar technologies, like, this movie's not necessary. All it has is the environmentalist leaning side of things, and the fact that, like, at the time it was semi-original content, and they're trying to, make that work. But
All I know is they use Avatar to like advertise TVs at Best Buy now.
Yeah.
They're all playing Avatar synced up on loop.
There was a
It's
really
just
funny.
awful.
There was a really funny, like really shoehorned side plot because I believe the reason Disney owns Avatar is because it was a Fox property and Disney bought Fox, right?
Okay.
And I remember back in like 20 something or other, the show Bones had an episode where they're like waiting to go see the like two of the side characters like waiting to go see the movie, and it was just very clearly product placement in the most in the truest sense of the word, but it was kind of done in an endearing way where they're like waiting. They've got their tickets and they're in the back of this line, and they have to keep running. One of them has to keep running back to the lab to do work while the other one waits in the line with their tickets.
that's funny.
But
I liked Bones had this one product placement that was like her and the agent, I can't remember his name, in the car. Booth in the car, and he's like, "How do we get there? Don't worry, my car has a GPS screen."
those are my favorites. It's usually on
so
episodes.
bad. It was so
It's
funny.
usually on episodes of shows that are like where it's like a mid-season finale and they have to spend more money on it, so they have to get product placement to get the money. And like it's there was a really funny one. We talked about Rizzoli and Isles yesterday. There's a really funny one in there where they're like surveilling of like a guy at a dog park, and she like asks her boyfriend like, "Do you want to see a movie later?" And he says yes, and she looks it up on the screen on
like
the car.
Fandango.
I love it.
This is amazing.
That's Danzatastic said, "Yay, I finally get to see y'all live. Don't even know the topic, but hey."
Well,
Hey.
that's because you haven't seen Avatar because Avatar is a Psy-Op.
You know what else this reminds me of?
Also, we do lots of topics throughout the show.
Disney World or Land, I forget which one, has like this hyper realistic animatronic Navi character in one of their rides where you like go down this river in like a canoe or something, and they spent like thousands and thousands of dollars to make this thing. But no one even cares about the franchise. So why did you do that?
I wonder if some of it has to do with copyright and keep, like with comic book characters, they revamp them every so many years to keep the I always get trademark and copyright mixed up here, but it's their intellectual property, right? So they own the rights to that character, so they change Superman's saying ever so slightly so that they can keep the character under owned by them before it goes into the public domain. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. All I know is that nobody gives a crap about Avatar. not real breathing people.
Yeah. The Last of My Kind said, did y'all see Luke's big set of personality?
I saw pictures of Luke's.
What does this mean?
He reenacted the teacher.
Oh.
What?
He wore like fake breasts on IRL. I don't know
Cool.
if you've heard of IRL. It's one of the
heard
side
of it.
projects.
Heard
One of my
it.
favorite
Okay.
things that Tim, I don't know if you know who Tim is, that he did is when he first reported on that, he called them giant. It was just really, he used a very non-reporter-esque term that was just really funny.
Jugs?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Basically, and then when he followed up on it, he used like a more correct term the second time around, and I was like,
Breasts.
yes, basically. Yes.
Nathan Kost said the hair sex scene is gross because he also uses his hair braid to bond with his flying dragon. You're right.
That's so weird.
You're right. I just remembered that.
It's like not to scream into this microphone.
Sorry.
That is
We're
so
like
true, but
the
also
bestiality in Avatar.
Wait,
exposed.
now we have to protest this movie. That's why they deleted the scene,
Is it
because they'd rather have
PG-13?
him bonding with his like flying
Why
raptor
did they
or
do
whatever.
that? I guess it's just like they don't have sex. It's just an asexual bonding practice.
It's like-
but how are you reproducing through it? And why didn't you reproduce with your
It's
dragon?
just how they show emotional connection. He's just bonded emotionally, not physically.
Does he ask, was it good for you too when they're done? That's the real
How do they
question.
disconnect the braids? What happens if you just like pull them apart? I don't know. It's so weird. Louis P said, The Abyss is still a good movie?
Yes, James Cameron.
Haven't seen it. Center
Is
Conservative
there going to be a
Mom-
sequel?
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
Center Conservative Mom 98 said, we have the extended director cut, and that's the only version I've seen, and that had the hair thing. Better Sam Worthington movie is Clash of the Titans.
And apparently, I was just looking this up. There's a sequel to Clash of the Titans.
There is.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that there's a sequel to it. Did you know that? No.
No.
It was here. It blew my mind. It was in like 2012. It was called Wrath of the Titans. Never saw it. Never saw it.
Potatoes for Seamus said, did Bad App finally get the shopping cart hit list? What does this mean?
Well, I mean,
Hit list?
I don't know.
Disavow hit list. Disavow
I don't
violence.
understand that.
Disavow.
Disavow, I think.
Disavow.
DJ Medeiros said, it's the anniversary of the movie Soylent Green. It takes place in the year 2022, and it's a little scary how close we're getting to the conditions of the movie. I've never seen this.
I was thinking
you?
the same thing of when Back to the Future hit its date a couple of years ago,
Oh,
and that was like
yeah.
a big thing if you were still a boomer on Facebook.
Yeah.
And everybody was posting the memes of that. It's funny.
Well,
you see-
now everyone says Idiocracy.
yes, well that's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
But the thing is the world we live in.
Where's my DoorDash? My subscription service.
The world we live in grows more and more comical, but I wonder if it's not that the world is more comical, it's that the art forms in which we used to watch these things were a form of media, and now the world is seen through a form of media. So it's always been that way. You just weren't given access to so much in-your-face, such an in-your-face version of it all the time.
I think it's both, though.
I don't think it's. I go back and forth in between believing that it's worse and just. It's kind of like whenever
Things are worse and you're seeing more of it.
I don't know if they're worse. I go back and forth on that. Perhaps the idea that we're seeing more of it turns it into like a snowball rolling
that
downhill.
makes
and that
it
makes
worse.
it worse.
That's also- yes.
But or is it just that things have
Yeah.
always been this bad? They were just bad in ways that you didn't see. I do believe strongly that a big part of this is kind of an aside. The reason that things are so that people are so disconnected now is that we share now with everyone what we used to only share with a few. So we weren't designed to have everyone's inner monologue shared with us all the time. So all the things you think about, all the things you say in your head every day that you never say to anyone else. Now everyone types that out and puts it out there for the world to see without any regards for what that actually means. Whereas people in the past understood that there was a place in your brain for things that you could think and allow to just sit there, and maybe you believe it, maybe you don't, but it's not a crime to think it, but it becomes more of a crime to society now to actually post it because you're cementing it with your name behind it. And that's technology that's done that to us.
James Riley said, "Style over substance is modern James Cameron motto."
That is very, very, very true. But I just wonder if some of that's just the ideas are
when
different.
did modern James Cameron come about? Like,
he's just gonna go into his next press junket for Avatar 37 and be like, "Look, I don't even care. It's making money, and like the computers do half the work."
That reminds me, I can. By the way, I've been making my list of like TV shows that everyone should watch.
Is it almost complete?
I've made a subcategory of strong, independent women that don't need no man to prove that it's everyone's like, because every time you see one of these things, they talk about how like there's no. We've sorely been lacking strong women characters in cinema, and this list goes back like 25 years. So it's just proof that they're not lying, but the narrative's so strong.
Some of them are lying.
Some of them
Genuinely
don't
believe
realize
what they're saying. Yeah,
but it's like 2 pages long already, and they're either the main character or the co-main character in these shows. And one of them, and I will use this as my monthly chance to bring it up. Watch the first season of Dark Angel, which was a James Cameron. It's the only time he ever did television.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
Jessica Alba in the year 2000, and it's a very, very good kind of.
That was a good year.
Yeah, sci-fi show for the early period before Joss Whedon ruined dialogue in movies and television.
Rega
That seems like a
Tan.
personal vendetta over there.
Whedon sucks.
Rega Tan said Hannah Brocon. I don't know what that means.
Is Brocon bro-conservative?
Maybe.
I'm gonna
I don't
Google
know.
it. I'm gonna ask the internet, which is
It's like barstool. What's it? Barstool conservatism.
I hate that.
It's a horrible.
Hate that.
This make me, because my anti-sequels, I'm Brocon. What does that mean?
Let's save the rest. Go to the next
I have
topic.
a brother
All right.
Yeah, you good?
complex. What?
Is
That's
that
what Urban Dictionary says.
what's it say?
Immediately passed. I don't know.
No.
Wait, what was
Was
it?
it?
Urban Dictionary says Brocon. Hold on.
She's looking.
It's the
ladies and
same as
gentlemen.
brother complex, an adjective used in Japan to determine that a girl likes her brother.
No, it's with an N.
What?
N at the end.
Brocon.
Not M.
Yeah. Brocon.
Wait, really?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
I'm just gonna take it to mean bro-conservative. All right, guys.
I'm just
one
gonna
time-
take it to mean nothing.
Is this because one time I
and-
wished my brother a happy birthday on IRL?
Really? You
Calm
guys
down.
suck.
That's creepy.
All right,
I
guys.
feel like you've got some issues to work out.
This story is so sick.
Go for it.
Elizabeth Chambers, who is the estranged, separated wife of Armie Hammer, has now been accused of using an anonymous friend's email and name to reach out to journalists and media outlets to snitch on her husband during the whole media storm that surrounded his cannibalism scandal.
I took issue with the term snitch because I feel like it devalues how serious this thing should be, but it's also stupid.
But it is, and she was also using the real allegations that were leveled against him to
Win custody of their kids.
yeah,
Yep.
to use it as leverage in their custody
Yeah.
dispute.
Yep.
And now that it's all over, she says they're on good terms again and they're co-parenting. But she used these people as the middlemen
And
in her
people-
personal vendetta against him.
People got angry that she used the term healing for her husband. They're like, he shouldn't be healing. He should be in jail. So it says she got by with a little help from her friend. Armie Hammer's estranged wife, Elizabeth Chambers, allegedly used a friend's email account to secretly talk with journalists as their marriage became destroyed. Just further proof, guys, that nothing in Hollywood is real and that everything you're seeing is a fabrication fed to you by a bunch of narcissistic people who know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if you see sincerity, they want you to see sincerity. They've obtained emails and text messages from the friend's account that claim that Chambers, age 40, discreetly pretended to be the friend and reportedly provided media outlets with information about Hammer, who's 4 years younger than her. I didn't know that.
It's so funny because like if he were 4 years older,
Totally normal.
it would be like whatever.
Yeah.
But it's notable for some reason.
It
'cause
is.
She's a woman.
Her friend, who wanted her name to be withheld due to privacy concerns. Well, that's funny. I wonder if Armie Hammer had privacy concerns when you were leaking. I'm
All right.
I'm kidding. Said that
This is a pro Armie Hammer podcast. No, don't clip me.
Is
saying that.
there a pro cannibalism argument to be made here? I don't know.
I've always been anti Armie Hammer because I think he's not a cannibal. He's just cringy and
Well, yeah,
he's
it's like
just
wants women to think that he's
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank
you.
Thank you. The worst part of all that is like when they talk about cannibalism as if he actually did it.
This is literally the same level of corniness as like Adam Levine saying "Holy effing f, your body is absurd."
But
like,
there's actual allegations against Armie
I know
Hammer.
there are actual allegations, but they got memory hold in favor of making headlines about him being a cannibal, which is entirely untrue to our knowledge.
And they keep him like the cannibalism. What do they say? Like, thank you guys.
He has a weird fetish and thinks that it equates to a personality trait or a hobby. When it
I don't
doesn't.
even know if he believes that. It's just they've made it who he is.
Well,
now.
it's that he wanted women to think he's like dangerous and a bad boy, so he like sent them these weird text messages and saw how far he could
him
get
and
away
Adam
with it.
Levine can start a club for teaching people
For not knowing how to
flirt.
flirt over text.
They can him and Adam Levine.
They
can
need a
start
support group.
a Bad Flirters Anonymous.
Yeah.
They could make. In fact, that will be their comeback movie. Like
Right.
it's going to be two guys going on a road trip after finding out that they do in fact have zero game with women on social
They can't-
media.
What is it that you call it? Run game.
They can't run game, and hilarity will ensue. So he's denied the allegations against him because, of course, just one of these times I want a celebrity to just be like, yeah.
Yep,
Totally
I did it.
Totally.
What
did
are
it.
you gonna do
What are you
about
gonna do
it?
about it? Well, you know, like I you know.
Well, we read some of the serious allegations against him, and they are like actually outrageous
Yeah.
if they're true.
But
he denies everything, though.
And we can't prove it, so for now we have to. All we can really judge on is the absurdity of the story as a whole.
Yeah.
She also said that her and Chambers are no longer pals, so this whole incident ruined her friendship with this person.
Yeah. So she had to tell Chambers that her email account got hacked just to get her to stop using it to reach out to media outlets with tips.
Change your password.
Yeah, that's what she did. But she was like, "Oh, someone hacked me."
Why didn't Chambers just make a fake
Also,
email account?
How did she give her friend access in the first place? Like,
I think Chambers wanted to rope somebody else into her drama. And that's specifically
sounds
why
like
she
she
didn't make up
and-
her own alias.
yeah, it sounds like she and Armie Hammer are like.
Maybe she's just,
they're attention seekers.
or maybe
yeah.
she just doesn't know how to make an email address, and she just needed a friend to do it.
Really?
And she just didn't know how to set up an email account.
Or like she didn't want it to be tied to her IP address or something.
VPNs are a thing, right?
I don't know.
Like, I like the idea that she does. You know what? No, I'm going with the idea that she doesn't know how to set up an email address, and she just asked her friend to do it for her. That's a cooler version. She's just super boomer.
I think that the quotes from these alleged messages are really the most bizarre part because this, we already have the allegation that she used this anonymous woman, Effie, and her serious allegations to
Get her
custody
keep
of her two
custody of her
kids. But now we see how casually she treated it behind closed doors.
You want to read some of this?
Yeah, so she said, yes, the excerpts from his disaster GQ cover shoot. We need to get back to commenting and sending tips, this time to the Daily Mail and the Sun, about Lily James. So she wanted to make a rumor that he had an affair with Lily James, who he was on a movie called Rebecca with.
Again,
at the
rumor,
time.
which means that she's actively fabricating for the sake of her kids, which means lying is happening on all sides of the aisle now.
And then she wrote this about herself, allegedly. She's an amazing woman. She doesn't deserve this. You couldn't ask for a more stunning, devoted wife, and she's a great mom to their two little ones.
Wait, is Lily James married or in a relationship? Because now
No. She's
no, I know, but I'm saying
like-
I'm still hung up on the Lily James things. Like,
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're actively roping in somebody who has nothing to do with this, doesn't deserve the scrutiny, and you're creating it so that you can keep your kids.
and Lily James denied it.
Yeah. So to me, the very, very serious allegations of actual assault are the only thing that matter anymore because they're proving that they're
Also,
both
like,
dishonest.
Those are really serious, and
Yes.
to be like, well, okay, and now push that he had a rumored affair with someone else. Like,
Yeah.
if you really felt like your kids were in danger and you needed to be in full custody of them, like, why not honestly pursue that? You know what I mean? Why not be like, look, I'm not comfortable. Like, he has these really serious allegations against him. We have small children. Like, I feel like they're at threat of violence. Like, instead of being like, now make it sound like he was just cheating on me and I'm the poor wife. Like,
yeah, and another
what is
thing
your
is
issue?
she used her friend's identity to send screenshots of Armie Hammer's Finsta account, one of which was a picture of him by a pool, and she made this, it's really clever wording actually, but like lounging poolside as his career burns down in flames.
I remember that photo.
Yeah, and she sent, along with these screenshots, requests to her friend, please ask her to pay her, the journalist, to pay close attention to his captions and let her know if any of the last 9 attachments you just sent did not come through. It's highly important that she receives everything.
Which article are we in right now? I want to put this on screen.
Oh, I can send it to you.
Is this the page 6 one?
It's on page 6, but it's not the same one you're looking at, maybe. It's allegedly posed as her friend to leak Armie Hammer stories.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's in this article. And she also said, I need her to agree to you that she will only attribute this to one of his many victims. So it seems like she wanted this anonymous friend to pose as an alleged victim of her husband. And not only that, but she pressured Effie to press charges against him.
My instinct is to say that that's absolutely evil, but knowing how important children are, I can understand acting rashly and making poor decisions because you care deeply about.
But she's
your
also
kids.
dehumanizing other people in the process.
If other people weren't being hurt in the process, it would be a lot more.
I understand
easier
the
to
motivation,
understand, but it doesn't make it right.
See, but I also think like this thing that she's writing, like she is an amazing wife, truly stunning, like about her physical appearance and a good mom. Like, I feel like it sounds like 2 narcissists met and married each other, and I feel really bad for their children. It's not that narcissists can't care actively about their children or want to protect them, but like it seems like all of this is coming from a very warped perspective.
It's about her image.
It's about both of their images, right? Like, why does he have a Finsta? Like, this
is literally like a grown man
also,
in
like,
his 30s
while
with
his
a Finsta
career
account.
goes up
that
in
is.
It's a fake Insta account. It just means that you have a private account on the side.
like the
like a sock puppet account.
No,
except for like it's like
people know it's you, but only like the people in the know.
Well, actually,
like Lord supposedly had one called Lord of the Rings, and like spelled the way her name is, and it's just where she reviewed like
onion rings.
Honestly,
Yeah.
One of
I don't
my
think she ever confirmed it.
one of my big things that I thought celebrities should be doing is having private accounts for just family where they can talk about politics and all the stuff that they say that pisses everyone off, and then keep your public profile more
Mitt
sanitized.
Romney had one of those once on Twitter,
But of
Did
course,
not go well.
the whole point of talking about politics, if you're a celebrity, is for attention. So
Well, also there are like you can use I forget what it's called. Tiny Beans is just like a private one that you can share like just directly to your family, images of your kids. Like there are alternative platforms that you could use if you really feel like you need sort of the function of a social media.
Do you guys
network.
ever post the close friends thing on Instagram on the story? Do you have any like?
I have, but I don't know what could be so secret that I want to put on Instagram anyway.
I do sometimes when it's like memories with friends that I don't necessarily want on my, like I don't know if they would want on a public Instagram. You know what I mean? Especially because I have friends who are like more private.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Lana Del Rey has a Finsta, but it's like a Finsta with almost 1 million followers now.
So
but
barely a
compared to her
Finsta.
main account, it's way smaller, so she feels like it's more intimate
It's more.
to post on there.
It's more intimate to post to my million.
It was private for a long time.
Yeah.
I'd like requested it.
Did you get approved?
I got in eventually, but she just made it public, so it didn't matter anymore.
Every day she is like one of those things where every day they just have to hit yes like 15 times.
You have to
So
have the correct Lana Del Rey quote in your bio.
Yeah.
Which is
That's,
okay, fine.
that's perfect. So we understand the motivation for doing such dubious behavior, but not necessarily the fallout with people in your warpath is not necessarily the best.
Yeah, she
thing.
even said of Effie, who by the way leveled serious allegations and said that she was suicidal to Chambers. Yes, she's just dramatic. They're all crazy. As in, all of these alleged victims are crazy.
So she doesn't even care about the victim. She just
She
cares
doesn't
about
care.
getting.
But then
She
when
cares that
talks
he
to-
got caught
Yeah.
and that it's going to affect her ability to raise her kids.
Yeah, and now
Kind
that
of,
it doesn't
though.
affect her parenting situation anymore, she's like, we're healing, we're great,
And
everything's
people were
fine.
like, how dare you say
Did
that
she
they were
get
healed?
custody then? Do they share custody?
They're still married.
Share
They're
custody.
estranged, not divorced.
Oh my god. See, this is what I mean. Like, I think these people are, and I mean this actually empathetically, like, they are toxic and need help, and I feel very sad for their children. I think probably I want to believe the best that they do both want their children to have good things, but like the drama and the attention from the media is like drawing out the narcissism, right? Like, she didn't try to go to, I mean, maybe she did and we're not reading about it, that she was like, he has to go to counseling. I want like a therapist to check him out, because she calls him like a true psychopath. Like, if you really felt like your kids were in danger, theoretically you'd want to shield them from the scrutiny of the press, because now their dad is always going to have these allegations on the internet, which, especially if the allegations are serious, that's real. But to make it about yourself and about how you come across to sort of launch your name seems weird to me.
I get more annoyed every time I read the term cannibalism accusations. There are literally no accusations.
It's
There-
such a psyop.
There are
Sorry,
no
we're calling everything a psyop, but everything is a psyop.
There are no accusations of cannibalism. There are accusations that he made weird comments to women that he wanted to eat them.
And then the real
he's an
allegations
idiot.
are things that I can't even repeat here because it's not YouTube friendly.
And it makes the real allegations more, it almost makes it does them a disservice
It's
by
just like
making
the Adam
it comical.
Levine thing.
Yes.
It's just like that. Alleged flirting. Why do we need to use this language that minimizes the importance of actual accusations of crimes?
Because this is the world we live in now.
So she told Effie, the one who accused Armie Hammer of raping her,
R-wording her.
R-wording her.
R-wording her.
I really need custody of my precious children. Do you think you could make a declaration this week? It will all be private. I don't want to pressure you, but your insight is much more in depth than the others we have.
Even saying precious children at that point in the
precious
statement.
children.
Yeah.
Well, she's trying to appeal to this girl's sense of humanity, right? Like, something bad allegedly
Yeah.
happened to her, and now this woman is like, I'm trying to protect my children. Like, if you don't speak out, then you're potentially putting children in harm's way. Like, that's really manipulative and weird.
Yeah.
This guy could have been Batman at one point. Just think. Dane would have. What would have Dane have thought if he had become?
Didn't he play the Winklevoss twins?
Yeah, he did.
It's so funny. I had no idea at the time I watched that movie that he was the Winklevoss
And I
twins.
believe he was in the was he in the movie with Johnny Depp? I'm gonna have to look
All I
it
know
up.
is he was in Call Me by Your Name. He was in
Wasn't
The
he
Social
in,
Network.
Gossip Girl?
He was in the Social Network.
Was he in Gossip
I
Girl?
could be wrong. I mix him up with other tall,
He could have easily been.
sort of Scandinavian-looking actors. Let's see.
That's funny.
The Lone Ranger. That's what I'm thinking of. He was in the Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp.
See, he's not a nobody.
No, he's not. He's
By
absolutely
any
Well,
not.
he
stretch.
had like this career that was building, and that's why some of this was like, he was on.
Oh, and Death on the Nile.
Yeah, I
Where
think
he was
in.
actually the spoiler alert,
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of the
he was
bad
on Gossip
guys.
Yeah.
And then they had to completely downplay him in the marketing because you don't want a cannibal eating Gal Gadot in the in your movie, so you can't do that.
Are you guys interested in House of Hammer, the docuseries?
I don't give a crap.
I don't either. I can't bring
I'm not-
myself to.
I actually
is it
like the idea of his dad being about his grandfather being called Stalin's favorite capitalist. Like that side of it was kind of interesting to me.
It's just when they start saying cheesy stuff like their family is like Succession on steroids.
Yeah.
And you're putting it through the lens of TV shows as if it's just as fictional.
Yeah.
I'm not interested then.
Doesn't? Oh yeah, he was in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., the remake with Henry Cavill. That was the other thing. Yeah.
I just don't think he's that interesting, and this really feels like other than how serious some of the allegations against him are, it feels like some super wealthy couple that's both got personality issues getting divorced, and like I don't care to indulge those stories, right? So why would I watch a docuseries on it? I don't know.
So it just proves to you further how many layers to the media apparatus go into everything you read about all of these people.
We don't even know if this whole thing is true because we don't have the supposed screenshots that Page Six and CNN have obtained.
Exactly.
We haven't seen them. We don't know if they're real.
So all of this could kind of be its own psyop, a psyop within a psyop. It's
Layers.
psyopception.
Psyops have layers.
Yes, so it's all kind of a mess, but it does prove to you that they absolutely understand the importance of the media when it comes to working out their problems. The problem is it becomes everyone else's baggage, because when they make these things part of the public consciousness, talking about Armie Hammer doesn't just become a topic about Armie Hammer. It becomes a topic about men in power and power dynamics and the relationship between the sexes in this country. So while they're working out their bull stuff, we're suffering in the long term. That's a crisis in pop culture crisis, believe it or not.
Yeah, there's a reason that this show says crisis in the title. You could say there's a crisis.
You could call it a crisis.
Let's go to Super Chats.
Let's do it.
Waffle Sensei said, Pokemon had the best video games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Had the best card game, and Digimon had the best TV show. I don't know anything about all three of
Pokemon
these.
Red and Blue, very good. Pokemon Snap, very good. That's the extent of my Pokemon video game knowledge, but that was all back in the old days.
Dane knows a lot more about that than any of us. Tyler W. said, Avatar's messages are kind of whack. Princess Mononoke handles similar themes in a more nuanced and mature way.
Nuanced and mature doesn't really sit well with Hollywood. That's why it's not being pushed mainstream.
But thank you for suggesting an alternative. Yes. I think it's better for people to say, like, watch this, not that.
Mm-hmm. Perco Rosso Forever said, support PCC subreddit. Funny new Mary versus Wesley video up now. Did Mary go too far?
You guys have a subreddit? That's so
Apparently
funny.
we do. We didn't even know that we had
one.
I haven't seen this video, though.
And people should be submitting memes there, because we do want to do a meme review here at least once a week. So we will have to.
Are you guys submitting your own memes? Do you make memes of yourself and submit them on your subreddit?
I have not made a pop culture meme before.
I've never made a pop culture meme, but several people send them to me.
I feel like someone in this room has made a pop culture meme, and it's definitely not me because I'm a boomer.
Plenty of I do get people sending me the memes, and they're always enjoyable. I'm amazed. Like, sometimes they have to they'll send me a meme about something we've done on the show, and it will remind me of something that I would have never remembered saying otherwise, because you just talk so much that you forget a lot of what you say. So,
James Ornthal Wen said, "A girl want an avatar and hair braid."
It's like Netflix and chill, but it's avatar and hair braid.
Want to connect our braids?
I don't know. Have you been hanging out with your raptor flying thing?
Let's connect on a deep personal level, like on a hair braided level. That's what it is.
Josue Suervo said another Atla mistake was Avatar: The Last Airbender mistake was firebenders couldn't conjure fire with their chi. They had to start a fire and then use it. Also, Owen Ong Soka Ero bug off. Yeah, that was so obnoxious because they knew exactly how to pronounce the names. They just changed them for the hell of it.
It's like they were didn't quite get all the licensing, so
yeah.
they're like,
no,
I don't understand. They had the licensing, so why
Fruit O's?
And you know that they love to change stuff because they're just
for the hell
I'm
of it.
gonna make my mark on this franchise that I have no right to do.
I feel like sometimes they were like, well, we'll change enough so that way people feel like ours is like the standard. The other thing about the live action is I think part of the charm of that show was like the animation, right? Like
and the expression that was possible because it's animated.
I don't think that we needed a live action ever.
That Lion King, the modern Lion King, is one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Isn't that just crush your soul?
But that was like the first one to come out. I think it's like similar to Avatar. People were like,
wasn't the Jungle Book the first one to come out?
No, I think I could be wrong, but I think the Lion King was the first one, and they're
or
like,
the Beauty and the Beast.
This could
Beauty
be
and the
one.
Beast came out before it.
But that one's like princess, so I feel like it has a more narrow market. People think of it as like a girls movie, whereas like both.
Still though, nobody should have gone to see that movie more than once. You probably have to go see it more than once to be rated that, or to be that financially successful.
Bad App said Avatar 5 and Hair Bond. Absolutely not.
It's number 8. The Lion King is in the highest grossing movies of all time.
That's so depressing.
That is very depressing. 67% of that American audiences too. So
guys, come on, do better.
Exactly.
That Stanzatastic said, "Why is there no number for crisis meter? I don't know how much to make big party time.
We're like, me and Chris have talked about that off air. I know they have something similar to that for Chicken City, and we are nothing if not our own version of Chicken City here with our parties.
We're just chickens.
We're just merely
yeah, we actually all work for Chicken City Corp. All of this is just an umbrella.
It's all like Timcast works for us, which is a subsidiary of Chicken City Corp, which is a subsidiary of Cast Castle Corp.
No, I think Chicken City is above Cast
Okay.
Castle. I
Even
could be
above
wrong
that.
about our corporate structure. Yeah, isn't Chicken City like tick marks? And they
Yes.
just keep it in the the chat or description.
It's on
like
the
how
corner.
much
It's in the
everything
corner.
is.
Yeah. So we'll work on it.
Thank you.
Just give I don't know, $1 million. See what
Estimate.
happens.
Yeah. Just get.
Estimate. Johnny Derp said necrophilia is a victimless crime. That's all. Not true.
Sorry.
Not
Disagree.
true.
Brett has been in sort of a somber mood, and that made him laugh.
Made me laugh.
It's a
That's
weird
kind
day
of
for Brett.
creepy.
The
Brett.
that is all part was what made me laugh.
Bobcat
Sure.
said, "At least I'm willing to come out and say that I have less game than Colin Kaepernick."
Well, he's not playing much, so he can't have any game. Also, I want to point. I also it made me
I
laugh
feel like
because
the
I didn't think
media
you
is
would
still
read
trying
that
to make
one.
Colin Kaepernick happen.
I don't know,
just
like-
disagree.
I feel like that one was like relatively tame
Okay.
compared to some other things that they send us.
I have a very a skewed perspective of like what I think you're gonna read and what like sometimes I think you're not gonna read something and you do, and sometimes I think you will read it and then you don't. So that one I was like when you read it out loud, I'm like, wow, she
Depends
actually.
on the mood I'm in. Okay. Ray Catan said, Hannah, no one is a huge fan of their siblings. Everybody with siblings hates their siblings. Also, have you guys watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners?
I've heard good things about. Or is Cyberpunk Edge Runners the one I'm thinking of?
Why do you hate your siblings?
Yeah,
not,
I
not
was-
everyone hates
I
their
just feel
siblings.
Like,
That's
I feel
weird.
Like, yeah, when I was younger, we didn't get along, and even now, like we definitely don't always get along. But like ultimately, siblings, I really encourage everybody to the best they can and what's healthy for you, have a positive relationship with your family members because they're not always going to be around and they were in your life first. So when possible, I think it's good to be supportive of like your siblings, to speak positively about your cousins. Like obviously, if someone's not good to you, that's different. But like I don't know, my brother is incredibly supportive of me and like a nice guy. So I don't know. I feel bad for you if you only have negative relationships
Yeah.
with your siblings.
My brother sends me like rude memes that are usually like I enjoy them.
Rude memes.
Very like rude, where it's a video. It's like it's like a guy's like excuse me, you're awful, and then that's just what the video is. Just,
Wow.
it's somebody telling you you're awful, and that's how we.
But you're joking.
Yes, we're joking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Louis P. said, good people don't think about eating women.
Yeah.
I mean, true, but he also just didn't do that.
He did not eat anyone. He just is an idiot.
I feel like he doesn't even have that like weird fetish anyway. He was just being attention seeking.
I don't know.
I mean, I think
Trying to shock women.
I just think ultimately it covers up the fact that there are like more serious allegations
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
deserve to be
It's
paid
like
attention to.
It's its own pivot. It's like Spitgate, where they're like there's actual allegations
Yes.
that Miss Flo and Olivia Wilde don't get along, but then everyone gets distracted by stupid.
They
Harry
latch on to the
Styles.
one that's most obviously fake.
And then the media, or at least Olivia Wilde, pushes everyone to
Yeah.
that one because it's very easy to be like, look how stupid these
Debunked.
these are.
Pwn.
Debunked. Yeah, that's what it is.
I need to stop watching YouTube said Mel Gibson is king of the celebrities. Is this true?
Mel
I think you would say Tom Cruise.
I would say Tom Cruise. But Mel Gibson,
Hmm.
I mean, kind of Mel Gibson too. They're kind of part of that same old school class of
The dying
breed of
yeah.
celebrity.
What do you call it? Like the original movie star.
Yeah.
Like that's
Mm-hmm.
we definitely don't have those.
I need to
anymore.
rewatch the movie Ransom this weekend with Mel Gibson. Give me
Cool.
back
I'll
my
be busy
son.
watching Fast and Furious too.
Yes.
Josue Suervo said Psy-Ops are like onions. They have layers.
They do.
I added that they have layers.
Yes.
You didn't say that. Bad App said, my sister is a Karen. She sucks.
I am sorry about your sister,
That's
my friend.
mean.
Yeah. Too bad
James
for you.
Orenthal Wen said, Sam Kinison said it never ends. Ah.
All right.
Okay.
I don't. That doesn't. It's not a reference that I get, but I'm sure it's.
I'm sorry, I don't
One of my favorite
either.
parts here is like people in the chat. Like whenever we don't get a reference, they're like, "These people host a pop culture podcast."
And you don't know
and you
my
don't know-
obscure reference.
I mean, sometimes they're not even
No.
obscure. There's plenty of like actual stuff that I haven't seen, but just like I have weird taste, so that's understandable.
You've seen everything that you wouldn't be expected to see.
Yeah. And then the regular stuff, like I see Avatar once, and I see a bunch of I've seen the Lord of the Rings once, but all the weird stuff is the stuff that I rewatch. So, all right, let's move on. Would you like to lead this? This was your find.
Sure. Basically, I wanted to talk about this because Chinese celebrities are now used as instruments for the CCP's domination of the world.
More so since the 2000s.
Well, not just since the 2000s, but there was a specific point after the creation of Weibo in 2009, and then a political shift in the mid-2010s. And now that there is the controversy over Taiwan's independence, celebrities are basically expected to speak out politically in China, or else their careers are at risk.
So it really reminds me of America.
85. No, that's worse. Here they don't even have to, and they do it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things about this story sound familiar because it's so similar how they're shamed, but I think what's missing is the government mandated censorship, and then the West relies on the self-censorship.
85% of the top 218 celebrities in China post government-supported messages, which is very clearly makes you a mouthpiece. And yes, as it Weibo.
Weibo is their version
Twitter.
of Facebook or Twitter, and there are about 600 million users on it, 130 million of which follow the official account of China's central television.
And they said that in a lot of the celebrities they do shame one another for not posting one China, when Nancy Pelosi went there, celebrities there who weren't posting the message about one China. Basically one China, they're referencing the combination marriage of them in Taiwan, basically, that they believe that they have ownership of Taiwan, and that celebrities that didn't post that message were called out by other celebrities, and that they're saying, yes, the mid-2010s is about when politics started to become injected heavily into their messaging, which is funny because that's fairly close to when things got really bad here. I wonder what their Ghostbusters 2016 was. Did they have their own Ghostbusters 2016? I must know.
I don't think we'll ever know because they're not allowed to openly talk about politics there. But I saw that after Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan in August, CCTV posted on Weibo, there's only one China in the world. And then all of the celebrities who reposted that statement were applauded, and the ones who stayed silent were publicly shamed in their media.
You're not allowed to stay silent.
This happens to Western celebrities.
It's just like us here. It's just that we do it ourselves. It's even that makes us worse.
That does make us worse.
We're worse. We're just pathetic here. It's sad.
Now that doesn't make us CCP shills, to be clear.
No,
we're just saying because it's self-imposed censorship and also self-imposed compulsory political statements that we have here, that is worse, because it means that you've been more mentally infected.
But plenty of those people see it as a business decision over there. They said pleasing the state is just the most effective way to reach a market because of the amount of sentiment falls in line there. So they're just reaching people with that like-minded belief system. The problem is it's a government-mandated belief system, which sucks.
That mid-2010s shift to more political posts on Weibo seems to be connected with the 2014 movement from their State Administration of Press, Publication, Radio, Film, and Television.
And remember, in 2018, they imposed laws in place that actors can't make over a certain amount of money, keeping them in their place. Yeah.
So in 2014, they required all their broadcasting platforms to block what they call tainted artists, and they are called that because they engage in illegal behavior or actions deemed by the government to be problematic such as drug use, prostitution, tax evasion, extramarital affairs, or political incorrectness. And the last category includes supporting Hong Kong or Taiwan's independence.
So here they would this would be the
We
opposite.
have our
in some-
own tainted
yes.
artists.
Except for it wouldn't be drug use, prostitution. It would be political incorrectness. The rest of that stuff is generally applauded by Hollywood as long as you don't get caught.
Yeah, so like just because we have different terms doesn't mean that we don't enforce the same shaming and like ritual. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, I suppose we exalt celebrities for speaking out on political issues. Not us, but like the royal we, as in the West. Celebrities who speak out on the right political issues at the right time are exalted, and if you fail to do that, you are publicly shamed.
Post your black square, or
not
else.
by just media outlets, but also regular people.
Why is so and so staying quiet during this event?
And how many posts have we seen from celebrities that were like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't comment on whatever big event is happening sooner.
I was listening and believing and learning
I was
and growing.
learning and growing and listening and whatever."
It's
and
always
now,
so
Yeah.
performative.
I didn't want to insert myself into a conversation. Like, I feel sad.
Silence is violence.
Like, we're talking about how this is a form of like censorship, but really like the fact that you are trying to not express an opinion before you're able to form a thought is the strange way the West forces you to come out in favor of an issue, right? If you don't make a statement, then it's, what's the saying? Silence is violence, right? You're complicit in whatever the wrong issue is. There is no space to have a different opinion. In some ways, we function exactly the same way as the CCP. I would say that in some ways, we believe that there isn't the same repercussions for celebrities that don't. Like, do you remember the Chinese tennis star who accused a high-ranking party official of sexual assault, and then she like mysteriously disappeared for a little while, and then she like was allowed to start competing again. Was allowed is what I'm saying. She reappeared on the scene and like never really addressed what was happening.
Didn't the dude who created Alibaba say something, then disappeared, and then came back and was like, never mind?
Is he back? I think he's still gone.
I think he's back.
That's after a healthy dose of water torture or something.
And he had to give up all of his like public assets and stuff like that. Like, I
Crazy.
think that like we think that that is something that happens in communist China, and it does, but also we have our own versions of it where who was it? Brittany Aldean, Jason Aldean's a country singer's wife, just posted something about
Don't have gender affirming surgery if you're under 18.
And his publicist dropped him.
Yep.
Right.
And
like,
then
they are.
Maren Morris is like, I'm not going to go to the CMAs because I don't feel comfortable standing next to someone who doesn't believe you shouldn't operate on kids under the age of 18 because I'm a psychopath.
Right. We function exactly the same way, except our repercussions are imposed by corporate culture and private entities.
Which is
in
more
a way,
genius.
the CCP allows for more redemption or rehabilitation after faltering than our court of public opinion, which is insanely dystopian. And I think another factor that maybe at least partially exonerates these celebrities in China for what they do to comply with the state is that it seems they're more motivated by money than by personal conviction.
Yeah.
So it says they're
I don't know if
celebrities
that's
in
necessarily
China.
untrue here. I don't know if that's necessarily untrue here.
It's partly true, but some celebrities, you've got to admit, are more ideologically driven than money driven in that respect. Like Tom Cruise is still able to make exorbitant amounts of money without, foregoing the quality of his movies to spread a message. So that's why he's had the success he's had recently.
It would have to be a case-by-case basis here.
It is case by case. But I feel like maybe the Chinese celebrities who toe the party line are more cynical and driven by profit, or at least driven by just mere self-preservation than anything.
Fear.
Yeah, so
the fear here is
they
different.
see pleasing the state as an effective way to reach a market, but not just reach a market, but reach any market, because they will be silenced and effectively erased from the public eye if they don't comply.
The other thing I found the most interesting here is it says that younger celebrities were found to be more likely to post official government messages. I think as we evolve, as we grow, that young people are becoming more and more dependent on the state and more trusting of the state.
What I would argue is that I think probably the same way that a lot of young celebrities now understand in America and the West understand the ecosystem between your own private your like personal social media accounts and your work in industries like Hollywood or fashion or whatever. The similar phenomenon happens with young people in China. So when China adopted Weibo,
Thank you.
they were able to see that like if I post pro-government messaging, the government supports me. They will open doors for me. I get a boost to my career, right? And so the ecosystem of like I will use my personal platforms to promote ideology that makes me more favorable to whoever is writing the check. Ultimately in China, a lot of it comes from the CCP. In Hollywood, it comes from sort of the globalist ideal that they promote. I think it's the similar thing. Like, it's not that older celebrities in China wouldn't do that. It's just that they don't use social media the same way that young people do. That's my theory.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how young celebrities from Western countries use their social media, because some of them seem to manage it themselves, and then others seem to have passed it off to management entirely. Billie Eilish seems to have passed off her social media presence to management.
I would. If I was that level of celebrity, I would just get rid of it and not. And that way, at least I can blame.
I wouldn't trust anyone else to have it, though.
I mean, at that level,
like,
I would make it more. I would make it somebody I could fire if something went wrong. That way, you
And
can make the post about how you had to fire someone.
their social media is not. I mean, that's why I understand when young celebrities who are still of this mindset that social media is important and they connect to people that way have Finstas, right? So like Zendaya, if you look at her Instagram, I'm sure it's all just like, here's a promotion for my movie. Here's a campaign that I was in for a luxury item. Here's whatever. Like when she started posting with Tom Holland, when that came out, like they're selected shots. They're not actually, you know, like it's much more controlled. If you contrast it with his social media, which is a little bit more similar, I think he is more personally in control. And we also know this because he like famously went live on Instagram and like showed a promotional thing
that he wasn't.
that on the back, when he was looking at it on the back, it said "Do not show."
He's
do not
very
post."
he's
turned it
very
to show
famous
everyone.
for like releasing Marvel spoilers. All like they
Wow.
they're like they couldn't shut him up like to get him to
They
stop.
had to like
revealing
send
stuff.
someone on press junket with him who would be like,
Don't do that. Say this. Don't say this.
Literal
Yeah.
CCP handler,
so-
but MCU handler.
"Yes,"
I
and it's
wanna-
another
That's
actor, which
funny.
is hilarious.
I want to move then to the discussion about the exportation of culture. Then, right? So
Yeah.
here with a far less homogenous culture, what we export tends to be built from. It's not from the ground up, but ours is more. You could say more organic, or it used to be more organic. Whereas those values are more deeply felt through government intervention, and they only push through what the government and what they want to be the rest of the world to see. The same with Korea, right? Like with South Korea is very good at showing you the best facets of their culture.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't seem to value that here anymore.
So with South Korea, it lacks that political totalitarianism, but the same focus on image and really patriotism in their popular culture is still just as present.
Which is
And
almost
they-
non-existent here now. And I
They
do
look
mean
to their
non-existent.
celebrities as role models, really, and maybe to an extreme that hurts them as people, but it's also something that they willingly walked into. A lot of celebrities in the West seem to accidentally fall into fame and then
Well, look at what happened. All
become
the
train wrecks as a result of it.
the boy bands were all manufactured, and they all ended up being absolute victims of either greedy managers, sexual exploitation, things like that. I do want to point out that for here, I want to know when the last time something from Hollywood was a truly pro-American product that wasn't Top Gun, but was not either a political, the democracy is under threat, or all of these awful documentaries that get made, or, what was it? When was the last time you saw an actual pro-America movie? I can't think of
I
it.
can't think of one.
Wasn't there like a pro-military movie that came out somewhat recently?
The best I could say is like, and even that's
I
not
mean,
necessarily.
even if it comes out,
That's not even necessarily pro-America. Pro-military
No,
isn't necessarily the
it's-
same
it's
thing.
not.
I was thinking of the show. I was watching a show again called The Last Ship, which was like this 2014. It's like Eric Dane, and it's like oddly enough, it's a pandemic spreads, and America has to develop the cure for a pandemic. And it is like there is a lot of like kind of cheesy rah-rah. We need America to fix the problem in it that I love because I'm a sucker for that type of stuff. But I don't see a lot of celebrities talk about America in any context other than our democracy that was not actually a democracy because we're a constitutional republic. They never say that, but they say our democracy is under threat, or it's Bill Clinton speaking to some late night show. Our democracy is under threat. Hillary Clinton, democracy is fragile. It's never about just, I love this country the way it is, or I love this country and the values that it instills and the values that it believes, because we can't decide on what the hell that is anymore.
Yeah, and I feel like even if you wanted to make a patriotic comment because you love the way this country looks, like think about how big it is and all of the land. Like if you actually love the land, then you're attacked for that too because of climate scaremongering.
Or colonialism.
Or colonialism.
It really is.
Whatever.
America's greatest, what was once believed to be its greatest asset, which was our diversity, our actual diversity, has become kind of its undoing because it's very easy for people to put through a very unfavorable view of the country, and celebrities don't have the backbone to stand up and say, I still love where I'm from. The best example I can give is like a lot of like the actors on like the show SEAL Team. You can tell which ones are somewhat patriotic because they'll post stuff on Veterans Day, or they'll post stuff on President's Day, or they'll post stuff on the 4th of July that's not like an attack on the country. Right. So, but you have to go look for that. Like, that's not a general message from the industry. That's individuals that just happen to hold those beliefs, but still work in an industry that doesn't support the country.
I think only culturally, the West looks to celebrities to, I guess we look to celebrities as a place to displace our anger and dysfunction and chaos onto somebody else.
It's easy to do. And
we sort of enjoy the train wreck story arc for celebrities, or the deflowering of sorts of like a Britney Spears figure or a Miley Cyrus. And when you contrast that with how Asian cultures, specifically South Korea and their idols, how they relate to their celebrity class, it could not be more starkly different. They look to celebrities to be the model of what every citizen should do. Like BTS, for example, there's a reason that there was a huge controversy over whether or not they should serve their military in South Korea, because they're not seen as fundamentally like Hollywood is sort of its own nation. If you're a celebrity in another country, though, you are not seen as fundamentally separated from your nationality. You represent your nation in that country. But weird. If you're a celebrity here, you only represent Hollywood.
I think South Korea uses the idols to create like the highest ideal, right? They're young, they're beautiful, they're talented, they're upbeat, like they're all smiling, they're cool, whatever. And with Hollywood, there are times that you get to hear like with people come out of like sort of the Disney Channel machine that they are expected to be happy and they're expected to perform a certain way. But ultimately, like America has this weird turn in culture where no one is allowed to be successful without failure or injury, right? So like we don't want our celebrities to succeed, and I don't personally feel this way, but like I think representationally of culture, if a celebrity is just beautiful and successful and talented and has good morals, like there has to be something wrong with them. Like we want our Disney Channel stars to fall off the deep end because actually things are corrupt, and they, you know, it shows that like ultimately, even though they have all this money and power, that they are not better than us. And we don't like to have idealist pictures because I don't think we like to hold standards for what is supposed to be a good way to conduct yourself, right?
Maybe that's because like that our obsession with meritocracy,
right? And that way we can always say like, well, everyone gets to live how they want to, and everyone's values are meaningful, and you can do whatever. Like, look, everyone is sort of messed up, and I think holding ourselves to a high standard, a standard of excellence, has become sort of a threat to how some people view their existence in the country.
It's because we don't aspire anymore. We just we go for envy rather than aspiration.
Right.
We don't want to aspire to do
Yeah.
as well as that person. We want to bring that. We don't want to raise ourselves up to their level. We want to bring them down to our level.
Right. And what makes you feel better if you're envious of someone, a celebrity who's got everything, than to see them get divorced or to see them get cheated? Like these horrible things that I actually feel like we shouldn't wish upon people. I think in some ways, like China and South Korea control the narratives there to prevent it from being like
The same stuff probably happens. You just never hear about it from
Sure,
them.
of course. I believe it completely.
Also, I want to like I fall into that category. I get annoyed when I see a bunch of female celebrities flaunting sexuality because that doesn't inherently bother me. What bothers me is 20 years later when they're like, I felt exploited and this, and that because nobody wants to take responsibility for their own actions. So even I fall into that category of liking to see them taken down a peg when that happens later. Is that a personal flaw of mine? Probably a little bit, but I hate the hypocrisy of it.
Right. And because especially in Korea, China is different because the communist regime is so intense, but like especially with Korea, because they are ultimately a nationalist culture, they believe in Korean excellence, they believe in like a united national front. They strive to keep their standards. Like if these are the best known Korean people in the world, the idols, right? We want them to be excellent. We want to support them. We want to celebrate them. We want them to have a life at the most ideal standard of Korean culture, right? And in America, we are happy to be like, yeah, we are cool if you guys all watch our celebrities like shave their heads a la Britney Spears or have some kind of demise. Like in some ways we are like, no, it's good for people
We're
to
proud
see,
of our
quote unquote flaws.
messiness.
Think of like
Right. In a way that I actually don't think is helpful. I think it's good to have a realistic pictures of like, do you remember the old magazine layouts that are like, celebrities are just like us. They take out the
they
garbage.
still have those things.
Right.
That say, they're going to get like coffee and says celebrities. They're just like us. I'm
yeah.
like, no, they're not.
I think that's hilarious and fine, like whatever. But ultimately, like we should celebrate. I would like it if we celebrated celebrities that had strong marriages or who took their faith seriously or who,
They're not
took
celebrated.
time away from
Alexa
work
Panavega.
to be with their kids. Like I think those are good values that we should support in culture, right? And instead, it's like we can't pass judgment on anyone, so anything can go.
Here's the thing. Everything can be used against you, right? So they take time away to be with their kids. Well, why did the wife have to take time off work when the husband? They can literally make it about anything.
All scorekeeping.
And Americans fall victim. We fall victim to it every single time. Olivia Wilde, a man wouldn't be judged for having to bring his daughter to work on the movie set with her. Like you can make it about anything, and we fall into the trap every single time.
I'm not judging Olivia Wilde for bringing her daughter to the movie set. I'm judging her for seemingly blowing up her family life, which again, I don't know anything about her marriage with
I'm just saying that we as a culture find a way to make every topic divisive. There is no universal truth or universal value system here because whether it's Marxist beliefs, feminism, all of these things have eroded a universally held belief so far that everything is divisive if you look at it hard enough.
I get what you're saying, but I sort of disagree. I think part of it is that like we don't want to say these are our values as Americans because it would mean there is a hierarchy and it would mean that certain cultural values are at the bottom and some are at the top. And that is antithetical to the way people want to view the ideas of equality and freedom in America. They want to say everyone's culture and in some way is okay and good. And I just don't think that's true.
Well, even there are perspectives to this that we can't have because we're not from Korea and we're not from China. And I'm sure that if we heard from Korean or Chinese people, that they would point out spiritual emptiness, pockets of spiritual emptiness in their own culture and the messiness in their own culture. But it seems that their cultures uphold at least the appearance of a unified front and the preservation of at least that appearance through their celebrity culture and their popular culture and the output of that makes them superior at exporting it to the rest of the world. While we, as like the top dogs right now, are falling behind in that respect.
Look, I don't think that America's top dog. Not really.
Well, we are right now, but not for long. That's what I'm saying.
Not for very long. I think that a shared, like, what are we export? What the hell are we exporting?
I mean,
What?
We're
not
exporting
Marvel
stuff-
movies anymore.
We're exporting values that like other cultures are like, oh, that's dangerous, and we don't want that here. Like that's the only thing we have to offer. Right
So what we're exporting is diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Yeah.
which is unique to us here, oddly enough, because we are a naturally diverse nation, whereas other countries are far more either religiously clamped down or homogenous in their population, which is
It doesn't
doesn't
resonate with
resonate
them.
with them. So we won't be exporting our values, which goes against the idea of globalist bliss. It's why Disney is so fascinating, that they can lose all this money now making movies the way that they are, and they would love to have the Chinese money, and then there's people like me who is like, look, I don't want them to, like, I prefer these companies did less business in China if at all possible, but at the same time, like, I also think that it's ridiculous that we expect other countries to uphold our beliefs, right? I don't expect that to. I don't fall in line with with the beliefs of China. I don't fall in line with the beliefs of, I guess, probably more China than the other ones, right? Like, I don't know what necessarily the strongly held beliefs of India or Korea are, but
you don't know because they don't force it down your throat.
yeah.
That's why you don't
So,
know what
so
they
like,
are.
I would ask, what the hell are we exporting? Because I don't think we're exporting anything, really. I think we're exporting buzzwords and slogans.
We're exporting gay kisses in kids' movies. I don't know.
That's about it, and that's what America's kind of at, where we're at as far as
It's such a
messaging
hill
right
to
now.
die on.
Yeah.
I just don't understand
well,
it.
and America's number one export used to be culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not anymore. Like, think back to, like, I think of all the stories of innovation and, like, just the way America was making these flagship products, like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Pizza Hut,
Technically,
like,
you could
all of
still
that
say it's
stuff that
true
was
with
founded in
tech.
America. Tech to a certain degree, but not really, not the same way that we had these, like, cultural brands that now still sell everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, the guy who had a McDonald's franchise in Russia, really put up a fight to not have to give up the McDonald's, because, like, that is an American export, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have those things anymore because we bred a culture that was, like, against being proud to be American. Like, I don't know. I mean, it happens, I'm sure, but I don't really hear about other cultures, other celebrities from Italy or Korea or China being like, if this person wins the election, I'm moving to Canada, right? That only happens in America.
Dude, it's
no
really
one in
funny.
Canada is like, if Justin Trudeau gets elected, I'm leaving for America. Like, we are the only people who want to jump ship, like, we think somewhere else is better, when really, like, we have it so much better than other countries in the world, and we take it for granted.
It's been really funny watching American celebrities react to the election of the Italian prime minister.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the far right.
But you know what? I just wrote about this for timcast.com. I highly recommend you check that out. Only the international media refers to her as far right.
Yeah.
Oh, the Italian media refers to her as center right.
It was the Hollywood Reporter where I read this article. They called her far right, and then they include the speech where she's like, why is everyone so upset with the family?
People are used to being able to filter not just the politics, but also the entertainment of other countries through an American lens.
Yep.
And the days where that's possible are coming to a close.
I'm over it. I'm over it in a lot of ways. I would love to see America become a more united front. I don't think it's possible. I know that I come off black-pilled.
Well, I wouldn't count on it.
I wouldn't count on it anytime soon. I would say the best thing you can hope for is to find within yourself the values you hold, that you believe to be extremely important. Hold on to them and look for media that espouses those values and kind of go from there.
At the very least, media that doesn't outwardly attack.
That's what okay.
You.
Listen, I watched, I found more than a few things this year that have been fairly new that were not in any way like they weren't great, but like sometimes that's the best. Maybe it's all just a weird Hollywood ploy to like lower everyone's expectations, right? Where like now everything you're watching 10 years ago would have been like a made for TV movie that would have been in a bargain bin at Walmart, and now you're just like, you're so like beaten down, you're like, I love this movie, but really it was garbage. You're just so used to the crap that you'll take whatever you can get. So maybe it's all just been a ploy for you to just please sir, I'd like some more, and take it all, and it's like I said, what was it? It was called All the Old Knives, which by all accounts, but for all intents and purposes, was a average to maybe slightly above average espionage movie, which will probably be one of the better movies I've seen this year because everything else was so bad.
Yeah. I think part of it is like give up on Hollywood. Don't
Yes.
go to this place that just generates trash.
And we're
so to
hypocrites because we talk about it and we tacitly support it by watching this stuff.
I
What I
wouldn't
was
say
gonna say is
so.
like, don't go
No.
to Hollywood. Look for alternative platforms, and you guys, in a lot of ways, are an alternative way to look for media, right? Instead of going to Hollywood to hear about what they say about celebrities, like come to you guys.
Fair enough. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we
like-
tacitly support anything simply by watching it.
I think you have to be aware of things, right? That would be like saying like I tacitly support CNN because occasionally I read their coverage to see how they're framing.
I guess
and
articles.
that does fund their website. So
Like,
it's
a
like,
lot of the.
But I need to
that's
know what they're
unavoidable.
saying. I also think that like there are lots of alternative ways to get entertainment that can be reflective of your values. I'm gonna sound super boomer right now and say like you guys should consider going
internet.
No, you guys should consider leaving the internet and going to like actual Broadway productions or theaters in your local towns, or going to, you know, all kinds of things. There are lots of alternative viewpoints out there that don't get the same kind of funding and coverage, and they just take a little bit
because
longer to find.
it requires getting off of your ass.
Honestly,
And like it's the same thing as like you could go to your local farmer's market and buy your vegetables, right? But it takes organization. You can't just stop there whenever. It's one day a week. Or you go to the grocery store. And there's a reason to do each one. But when you can, if you can support someone local who has more direct access to food, that's a good thing to do. It's the same thing with art and entertainment. If you can find people who are not part of this network that is generating the same thought, then you should try and support them.
there's infinitely more creativity on social media now there than like I am constantly surprised by how funny a lot of creators are with very minimal resources, or just it's just humor that like you don't
Like
know,
a cheetah hand puppet.
like a cheetah hand puppet, or I
That
was.
cheetah pan hand puppet is not the very first guest on Pop Culture Crisis I will personally write.
There was a video the other day where like it's stupid stuff where somebody's like, who parked their Toyota in the handicap parking spot, and a guy goes, it was me. He's like at a bench press, and he goes out there and it's a toy Yoda in a parking, and I laughed for like a minute because it's stupid. I would rather watch that than the garbage that Hollywood is pointing out. Or the like the other one's like a guy's like, it's like where you put your hand over the nozzle of a hose, and he's like doing this and it says 3 a.m. and you just went to the bathroom. It's stupid, but it's a hell of a lot more creative than anything that these loser writers
mean,
in Hollywood are coming out with. It's just
But
different
then you
content.
risk like Philistinism,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'm not
that's
saying
where we're going.
I'm not saying that's the only entertainment you watch. I'm just saying that that stuff tends to be more honest than a lot of the stuff that comes out.
yeah. At least it's not pretending to be something it's not.
Yes, it's not. The guy's
I
like, I
understand
thought
why
this,
you'd appreciate that.
I thought this was funny, so I did this. That I can appreciate that more because I don't expect that the guy who made that video is telling me some secret message about what that actually means.
There's no subliminal
Yeah.
messaging involved, or
Though there probably will be college classes one day that will say the sexism of TikTok videos.
there already are.
Probably. Totally. go to some-
Jose Cuervo said name is pronounced Josue Cuervo, crying inside.
I mean, it doesn't look like Jose Cuervo. The first part doesn't.
I mean, if you wanted it pronounced that way, that's probably what you should change your screen name to. Sorry.
I mean, it doesn't. No, now the more that I look at it, he's right. But it's like it's just not how we would see
Well,
it. Yes.
This is
Whatever.
This is Mary's world, and you are just sending chats to it.
Yeah, exactly. Bad app, I'm not reading that.
I'll read it.
Why?
No, you would I can't read it, right? Should
You're
we
going to
read
get clipped if you
Yeah.
say it.
Yeah. Well,
Whoever
it's-
says it's going to get clipped.
yes. That body of yours is absurd. I'm going to eat it.
Okay.
Armie Hammer said that, I'm sure, sometime.
Waffle Sensei said, whoever said watch Princess Mononoke, I second the motion. One of my favorite movies ever. It's kind of like Avatar in theme, but with no true villains in the story, because everyone is a villain from each other's perspective.
Yep. Those are our harder watches for me. Stuff like that. I'm not talking about that genre, but I'm saying like I've been watching Banshee again, and literally everyone's a bad guy if you look at it from another character's perspective. And stuff like that to me is more emotionally taxing to watch because I do like the cleaner narrative of a good guy and a bad guy. Like it took 5 episodes the first time I watched that show to get used to the fact that the sheriff in the town isn't actually the sheriff, but a criminal pretending to be a sheriff who just does awful things to people. But like he's redeemed by the fact that he doesn't accept violence against women, and that's kind of his redeeming quality. But every character could be seen as a villain from another character's eyes. There isn't one set group of bad guys or good guys.
Reka Tan said, China is 1984, America is Brave New World.
Yep. That's actually a very, very apt
think so?
definition. Yeah, I do. I think that we're permanently distracted here by... weirdly enough, though, the argument could be made to the opposite, that, like, how can we be being distracted from all the problems when the celebrities are talking about them nonstop? But it still is like that. Like, a lot of people are... Like I said, I'm watching videos of cheetah hand puppets. There's probably a lot of other people who are not paying attention to what's going on in the world who are watching videos of cheetah hand puppets.
Mm-hmm. Like if it's just a campaign to fatigue everyone. Siani Reese said Avatar was a great movie. It was popular.
Apparently,
it's not great just because it's popular. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, that could be. They're saying they think it's great, but it was popular. They're not saying it was great because it's popular. They're saying it was great and it was popular.
It wasn't great, and yes, it was popular, but it was not great because it was popular.
We can all
there
agree
are a
to
lot
disagree.
of movies that are popular that are not great.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of movies that are great that aren't popular.
Yeah, exactly. Darth Doza said...
End of podcast.
Darth Doza said, haven't been able to catch you all live, but having PCC episodes on queue helps keep me sane. Mary Brett, thank you for wading into the garbage of Hollywood and giving good takes on topics. Be well and peace and grace to you both. Thank you.
There was a meme made yesterday of me getting into a hazmat suit.
There was.
To go because I made
the
joke.
memes just keep coming.
I made the joke that I put on a hazmat suit to go on to BuzzFeed sometimes.
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm
I saw that
desperate
one.
to find something to talk about, and I have to suit up.
Gas mask
Yeah,
on.
basically. Thank you, Darth Dosa.
I need to stop watching YouTube said the fallen protagonist torn between the holy and wicked, both abrupt and tender, contradictory on the innermost level, makes us more human.
The fallen. Is that kind of is that the point of having the good guy fall from grace, that it makes them more human? I don't feel like it actually makes celebrities feel more human to me, because usually if that's what they're talking about, because when the celebrities fall from grace, it's under circumstances that none of us would really understand.
Exactly,
because we don't live a life similar to them.
And now, like, Britney Spears is in the position where she has to attempt to explain the experience of something that literally no one else has gone through.
Yeah, and if that was true, they wouldn't have such contempt for Middle America, but they do. Not her, but celebrities in general.
Yeah. Caper2X said, it is Jose, my non-beanie wearing minx. Hi, HCB. Well, apparently it's not. It's Josue, so you're wrong too.
All right. Josue. All right, guys. So basically, a lot of people have been talking about Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin is potentially going to be charged very soon, very quickly, for the death of Helena Hutchins, in which he still claims to this day that he did not pull the trigger that ended her life. But then the FBI did.
It's kind of relying on people's ignorance
Yes.
that they would even think a gun can fire itself in the first place.
So the FBI did
What if it's
basically.
haunted?
Yeah.
So you think of that?
Haunted gun.
It could be haunted. So the FBI had to do tests to figure out whether the trigger was actually, like, I guess it could have had a hair trigger, right? That's a thing. But they did tests and they said, no, this gun had to be fired to go off. Go figure. So let's get through this first, and then I want to talk about the case of another actor from Riverdale who just got sentenced to life in prison for the ending of his own mother's life. So basically, they say that that the Santa Fe New Mexican reported last Thursday that the Board of Finance granted the Santa Fe District Attorney's Office more than $317,000 to prosecute 4 people connected to the October 21st, 2021 shooting. My God, has it been that long already? It's already almost a full year?
Yeah.
Okay.
That just shows that, like, we live in a simulation.
The district attorney, Mary Carmack Altwies, it looks like Altwies, has filed an emergency request for $635,000 to cover the cost of prosecuting the case. That's what I thought. I always thought these cases cost like millions of dollars to prosecute usually, right? At least in big cities.
Depends on state, right?
According to the newspaper, she did not name anybody who could be charged. However, it added that the district attorney's request said one of the possible defendants is well-known movie actor Alec Baldwin. Do you guys think he's actually going to get
justice?
I hope so.
Do you think there's actually going to be prosecution?
I don't know. He thought he was in the clear for a long time, probably.
I think back to did we talk about?
Sorry, go ahead.
We talked about when he did that Instagram live where he got weird and was talking about like Democrat. He was talking about how there isn't a conservative blacklist, but then admitted that there was a conservative blacklist, and then went on this weird rant about how all Rupert Murdoch properties are bad except for the sports section of Newsweek, which oddly enough this is in New York Post, not Newsweek. And he's like, except for the sports section. The sports section for them is oddly good, and it just shows like he's either a sociopath who's just doesn't care. And is that, or he's just that confident that nothing's going to happen to him?
I think both.
Both.
I think his narcissism is what shields him from, like, he's deluded enough to believe that consequences will not.
I'm so jaded by all of this that, like, when you sent me this article today, I was like, wow, right ahead of this, apparently he's about to be charged. His wife has a baby.
Yeah.
Which, like,
They're
actually has. But she did not control when she was going into labor. Like, it takes kids as long as it takes for them to grow in the the uterus. But I feel like it is interesting that, like, I suspect his PR team is paying People Magazine, a bunch of people to put out, like, oh, it's so nice they have their seventh. Do you remember they had that horrible miscarriage? Like, they obviously conceived this baby after all of this was going on.
Yeah.
Like, in some ways, I'm sure they want to have children. Like, I'm not trying to question that, but, like, it is interesting that he is trying to move on with his life, is what he's communicating to the world through his actions. Like, I have a kid, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Like, it's to distance himself from this thing. And I hope he does get charged because he was involved with it. You know, I hope it goes to court and it goes through a proper channel. As much as I wouldn't want him to be convicted falsely in the media, right? I also don't want this to just go away because he has moved on with his life.
Is it sad that I'm almost like I would settle for like getting charged, going to trial, and getting off rather than just not being charged at all?
Well, that's my thing. Like, if he goes to a court,
like, I'd like him to get convicted if that's what happens,
or to get charged and to negotiate a plea deal. Like,
yeah.
I want him to have to go through the justice system the way I would want anyone to have to go through this, because let's remember, he's having another child, but the cinematographer who died had a son. Like, there are other people who were affected by this who, even if he's moved on, they have not.
Yeah. So like, it's like, but I'm so jaded by the fact that I just don't expect anything to happen to him that I just assume. And I don't know how much of it is also like, I wonder about my own bias, right? Like, I remember when the actor who killed the actor from The Crow, what's his name? What the hell is that? I can't remember today. But that guy took a year off acting, came back, right? He wasn't charged with anything, but that was because the cases were different. But that guy showed extreme remorse for what happened.
Whereas platform of Alec Baldwin since the beginning has been, I did nothing wrong. I feel no remorse. And it's like, even if this was a complete and total accident,
Brandon Lee,
any normal person would feel remorse anyway.
And like,
even if he had not pulled the trigger, that is a normal human response.
Very normal.
And also his impulse to go to the media and be so outspoken about it.
They always go to the media now.
Unintelligent.
Yeah.
And he did it because he's a narcissist and he's obsessed with even negative attention.
So, if he doesn't get charged,
well, I was about to say, like, what really bothers me about the Russ situation is that this is the type of topic that the media laser focuses on at the expense of stories that they decide to memory hole.
Yeah.
And the story of Ryan Grantham is exactly that.
So Ryan Grantham is an actor. He was in Riverdale. He did like an episode of Riverdale. He was in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He walked up behind his own mother and shot her in the back of the head with a shotgun. Like, not that long, like around the same time, right? So, and then his plan after that was to go after Justin Trudeau. He put Molotov cocktails and firearms in his car, and I would guess that most people haven't heard of this story, even though it's just as sad. And it should be just as relevant, whether we're talking, like, I'm actually surprised the Take That You Incel crowd didn't latch onto this one as an example of evil white men in the West. Technically not America because he's Canadian.
I mean, I will grant that it's probably somewhat due to the fact that Alec Baldwin has way more name recognition
I also
and
think
clout.
These are different scenarios.
I'm not saying they're the
different
same, but it's still
yes.
people within the same industry and a firearms death not that far apart.
I think that they're different because Alec Baldwin's was an on-set production-related death and fatality.
That's a topic in and of itself. Is like on-set.
No policy changes were
I
made.
think that there are a lot of young actors who become troubled, and this kid was clearly very messed up. If you've read anything about his trial, he's expressed remorse. The reason he said he killed his mom because he didn't want her to see the violence he was about to commit. Like, that's not at all along the narrative of what's going on with Alec Baldwin. With Alec Baldwin, the idea that something could happen on a chaotic movie set and almost a year later we are still waiting for charges to be filed is kind of crazy. I think that what happens with the Riverdale actor is sad, but to me they are not actually related in any way, except for the fact that they have a gun, which is too loose of a connection to draw a parallel.
Well, I just find it suspicious how this Riverdale actor's story has been effectively memory holed
nobody
in the eyes of the
nobody
public,
knows that it
even though
happened.
it is just as memorable.
But it's memorable the same way that there are several school shootings that have been memory hold, right? Like, one lone teenager hurting their family is serious and bad, but it is a different kind of crime than someone being shot on a movie set. And whether that's because the guns on set weren't safe or because, and Alec Baldwin hasn't been charged because he's famous, like, to me, they're really different. And I just think because they happened at the same time and both involved guns, like, that's not really the same thing. There was, I mean, I don't want to get into, like, making this a crime thing, but, like, the Buffalo shooting that happened earlier this year happened on the same weekend that another man went to a church in California and specifically targeted Asian Christians, right? And we aren't talking about that one. We aren't really talking about Buffalo the same way either. Like, these things, just because they involve guns in our crimes, are not actually related. I think that Alec Baldwin's story is so significant because it shows to what extent we allow Hollywood to operate outside the bounds of the law.
Both of the bills for reform fell through for on-set safety.
Yeah, that, I would say the Russ shooting at least opened the conversation up for liabilities about on-set.
I got really annoyed when they started talking
risks.
about, like, we're going to use rubber guns. I'm like, or you could just do your job and hire people to do their job.
That's why people think that it could have been a conspiracy, because how do you let something like that slide?
You hire Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who doesn't know how to do her job, apparently.
Or is it somebody that tampered with it? That's the question.
So it's, to me, the Alec Baldwin one bothers me because he is very, very annoying. And I don't know if he gets charged. I don't. If he does, I would be very surprised if he got prosecuted for anything. Or he'll negotiate the plea deal of the century. And they'll say that the second assistant director, whoever was the one that handed him the gun, will be the one that ultimately ends up being at fault.
All I know is, like, I hate that Alec Baldwin, like, people like Alec Baldwin and people like Nick Cannon are the celebrities in the public eye who represent, like, big families.
Oh, okay. I mean, Alec Baldwin less
it's a notable thing.
Yes, I did you see the I sent you the picture. It's like Nick. It's like somebody looking at like 15 different like phone screens and says Nick Cannon FaceTiming his family.
Yeah.
I also think that, like, to go off the big family point, when he goes to negotiate a plea deal, because hopefully he is charged, Alec Baldwin will say, well, I have 8 children. One is an adult daughter, and I have a newborn baby at home. Like, I can't go to prison in a state far away from my family. Like, that would be disruptive and bad.
It's
and
totally
not
a
good for them.
negotiating tool.
Yeah, and in some ways, like, I believe they wanted to have children. They've clearly had a big family already, but, like, he is going to argue things that, to me, are real, but also don't take away from the fact that, like, he was involved in that. I think a lot of it comes down to the ballistics, like how the gun actually went off. I think that's going to be a primary focus of this trial, whether Alec Baldwin takes the stand and is on trial, or whether it's someone else involved. Because until we know, we heard a lot of conflicting reports about what happened with the gun. That is really the crux of this case, whether or not, like, he put his finger on the trigger and fired it, or if it was haunted and went off, you know.
So the Riverdale actor says that he's afraid that he's going to be brutalized in prison. Do you think that that's a possibility?
Well, the argument that comes up, and the judge in the case talked about it, was that he's very small. He's
5'2".
5'2". He's very thin. Like, he looks like a very young
That's why he got the
boy.
roles he got.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that's a fear in most prisons that we weirdly talk about and also don't talk about, that, like, violence against by men against other men,
physically, psychologically, and
real
sexually intimidated is the words they use here.
Like I was saying, like, we don't really talk about prison violence and brutality because it's, like, something we're not comfortable with, I think, as a culture. So that could be the case. I mean, it's similar to arguments made by men, like, different men who've been convicted of federal hate crimes, either by George Floyd or the Ahmaud Arbery case. You know, they said, we can't go into state prison because we'll be targeted and murdered. We have law enforcement backgrounds, and we're involved in these, you know, specifically hyped racially aligned murders, or, you know, cases that involved race. And some judges say, yeah, we'll keep you in federal prison, and some judges say, we don't care, we're going to send you. Like, I don't know that exempts him from prison, but I also think that is something to consider.
But wouldn't that be unfair to put him in a medium security prison, where he's going to have a lot more freedom to move around and
because of his immutable characteristics, basically.
Also have an obligation to not intentionally put him in a prison that he is at risk of harm, right? It's like you hear the same things about, like, I don't know. We don't have to go into it, but
that's kind of like a big tenet of our system, right? Is that we treat criminals better than they treat victims.
Well, they are due some right of equal protection under the law, right? Like, you can't put someone in prison with the intention of having someone else in prison kill them.
I was just surprised because I didn't know any of the Trudeau stuff before. I remember hearing it. I didn't know about that part. So is that weird that just didn't end up, like, widely publicized?
I think it's because we're in America and Rust happened in America. I think it's a big deal in Canadian media.
Okay. Like, it kind of shows you that political polarization is all over and it's not just here.
Also, you have to remember, Riverdale films in Vancouver.
Yep.
So, like, all of this is more Canadian, all of everything related, whereas this was Arizona near California, or New Mexico near California. Like, Alec Baldwin doesn't hang out in Canada. He's not Canadian. He's from Boston, or he lives in New York.
So, I would like to see more people know about the other case, just because I think it also calls into account the mental health problems in the world, and what I don't know if anything happened to the kid.
He turned himself in.
No, I know. I'm saying I don't know what happened to the kid that led him to.
I mean, it screamed psychotic break, like, fully.
And his sister testified again, like, was like, he has harmed our family. Like, he took my mom from me. His mom had cancer at the time, so she was sort of, I don't know if she was terminal or just, you know, sick. There were all kinds of issues at play in that family. So it's an incredibly sad story, but I do think it's significantly different than what's going on with the rest.
Or you could talk about Shakira and the tax fraud case. See, that's a positive one. See, we want her to get away with it. We want her to.
How many times do we need to say this, that her hips don't commit fraud?
Her hips do not commit tax fraud. They do not. They would never lie to any prosecutor.
To any three-letter agency.
And what we need to do is we need to cheer Shakira on as she does not give the Spanish government any more tax money.
Is she Spanish?
Yes.
Just Spanish, or is she? I thought she was like
They said Spanish in the
Colombian or something.
But the funny thing was, I was reading it was that was it on air that I was talking about this earlier about the 87,000 IRS agents and the people who were talking about like, I'm so glad they hired more IRS.
Colombian. Just for
Yeah, I
reference.
thought she was. Yeah, I knew she was
say she's
Colombian,
Spanish on here.
but it's against the Spanish government. I don't know. I was just wondering about that because I thought of Alec Baldwin's annoying wife Hilaria, who pretends to be Spanish and is not.
That's the thing I feel like got memory hold. We don't talk about
Yes.
the fact that she is
She doesn't know how to
actually from
pronounce
America.
cucumber.
Oh my
How
god.
does she pronounce it?
I don't know. She was like, "How you say?" Like,
She's from Massachusetts.
you literally
Is she?
grew up in New England.
She grew up
Like,
in New England.
stop.
She changed her name. Like, this is race baiting at its extreme, and we don't talk about this enough. Like, I don't understand how
Alec Baldwin's wife is Rachel Dolezal of Spain.
Maybe we
Also,
can do our own
let's
I'm
talk-
not over that segment about Ilaria.
Like,
We
I'm
should
really
know
not
about
over it.
Also, let's remember that Alec Baldwin, who's definitely going to be like, but I have young children at home. I can't go to prison. His daughter, Ireland, from his first marriage or relationship or whatever, he wasn't caught in this really big scandal where he had left her a voicemail,
Yeah,
and I think
I
she
remember
sent to
that.
the press where he was calling her like a fat pig who was a brat because she didn't want to answer his phone calls or
Wow.
something.
Yeah.
Like, I think this person
Yeah.
is very messed up, and he should have to be accountable for his actions.
I bet you he ends up paying a fine and nothing else. He'll
Probably.
pay off the family.
I hope
remember
the family sues him.
he met with her husband the day, like 2 days after this happened. Like they were seen at a restaurant together, if I remember correctly. So
Wow, a public place? How interesting that
I
he
know,
would
right?
pick that.
I know. So
Not the
it's-
man's home.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, like, can we go to this crowded restaurant with like a lot of
Don't
windows
worry,
around?
And then I
paparazzi
can just
will
make
be
a quick
there.
phone call 10 minutes before we get there.
Like he tried her husband tries to sit in the seat facing, like he tries to sit in the seat here, and then he goes, no, here I have to sit on the seat facing the wall so that way everyone can see me talking to you because they're all scumbags, all of them,
Yeah.
all the celebrities are scumbags. All right, let us move on. I want to do. Let's just do Aqua, a Barbie girl.
Okay.
Bar-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
You seem disappointed about it.
No. You know
Are
what?
you sad that Barbie Girl isn't going to be in Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie?
No, I'm not. First, I want to talk about. So basically, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it. So basically, they're saying that Black Adam is saying that it's going to premiere between 55 and 70 million, which is way less than what they thought it was going to go for, which I thought was very, very interesting because I don't know if The Rock is actually as like bulletproof at the box office as they claim he is.
He's bulletproof in the movie.
He
But is
that
he money gun proof? Because that's always
I don't know.
intense.
I don't know if he's money gun proof, but yeah, like he's kind of. You bring in his name. I'm sure he costs a fortune. He was at least in 2021 or 2020 the highest paid actor in the world, right? So you bring him in to bolster box office sales. But if the movie's only going to open to 55 to 70 million, and then its domestic total run will be roughly 135 to 175 million, that's not really all that much. When you think about what he's going to cost the movie and how much it costs to make these movies.
That's going to add to the continued curse upon DC.
Yes.
Sadly.
I mean, at the very least, he's not like choking women in bars or crapping in someone's
Yet.
bed. So
Yet.
he has that going for him.
You never know.
The bar's so low. That's crazy.
I remember one of the other
Like,
actresses.
this one can behave himself.
One of the other actresses from the original Shazam movie, there was rumors that she didn't get brought back for the sequel because she made some comment about like after J6 about how like Ashley Babbitt like didn't deserve to die. Like she wasn't. He was like, I didn't.
What a crazy sentence.
She's like, I didn't support her, but she didn't deserve to die. And people are like, how dare you
I mean,
say that?
it's weird that she even posted something about that at all.
I mean, everybody was talking
To
about it
me-
after that happened. But if I was a celebrity, I would just stay far clear of
Yeah.
that. But they're not that smart. But but she wasn't brought back. But that actually ended up being more in line because of the character didn't need to be. So, but that was
Oh,
like a theory
okay.
that was why. But I don't think that was actually it. So it says his best debut to date was 60 million for the franchise. For Hobbs and Shaw outside of the main franchise, but Jason Statham counts for that too. Yes, I know. Fast.
It's everywhere. I can't
Furious.
escape this franchise.
Speaking of Jason Statham, guys, I rewatched The Transporter last night. Holy crap. Just go and watch that. Skip everything that they're making now and go and watch The Transporter.
You're always saying that you rewatched blank last night and go watch it, but you're not watching anything new.
Because old stuff rules, new stuff drools. Okay. What would be
just on principle?
House of Dragon? House of the Dragon.
You've been watching that, right?
I'm up through episode 4. Like I can sit through all 3 Transporters in one sitting. I can make it through like an episode of a new show these days, and I get.
Before you're like, get off my lawn.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. But I can go back and watch Jason Statham literally like jump from a car and fire a gun and ride a jet ski off of like a ramp that's in the middle of like the ocean for no reason and ride it up onto like a freeway and then skid into like the back of a semi truck.
This definitely sounds like something up your alley.
As
maybe
like,
not mine, but definitely
as
yours.
the woman he commandeered the jet ski from waves at him. It's awesome. You just go do that. We will go see Black Adam. We'll probably have to see Black Adam and Black Panther too. I feel like it would be weird to not review them. I know Tim will want to go see Black Panther too. And Black Adam has Sarah Shahi in it. And Sarah Shahi is awesome, so you should see it for that reason.
We shouldn't review sequels. Sequels are dumb.
But literally everything is a sequel, so if we didn't review sequels, we would not review anything.
Think of all the cool, interesting things you could see. You wouldn't be chained to Hollywood and DC. You could look at stuff that's coming out at film festivals. You could see like independent movies.
Why? So I can hear them give themselves clapping, standing ovations. Bite me.
I want to review Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. That's an original.
Yes, we can. We'll probably do that. Right? That's the one.
That's coming up in November.
Yeah. Also,
have to not support the sequel industry.
Well, Black Adam isn't a sequel; it's an original movie.
No, it's too late for all of these superhero movies.
But it's still in their extended universe.
If they reference anything else in that world,
which brings me to my next point that they are talking about a Henry Cavill cameo as Superman in the movie, so that is possible. Well, no, if it's got Henry Cavill in it, you have to support it. Henry Cavill's awesome.
Does that mean you're gonna watch Enola Holmes? Because Henry Cavill's
honestly,
in it?
I probably will.
You will? Did you watch the first one?
I watched the first one, and I remember it being meh. Like, it was 2020. The standards were even lower than they are now.
That's why it made so much money. Yeah, I know it.
I don't know if it's made money. It's on Netflix. How do you know it made money? But
I read about it, and they made way more money than they had any right to expect.
But how do they make money on it?
Well, why would they make it if it wouldn't have the potential to make money, Brett?
I mean like money in like.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I don't mean money, like money in watch time. They don't make money per watch time. They make money by subscriber count. So.
I don't know all of the profit models.
I'm saying like
Netflix, but
it doesn't make money in the traditional way. It makes money, but it kept people subscribed for 1 more month.
As far as a streaming exclusive release can be said to have been a smash hit. Like, because of the pandemic and people being locked down and not having many options, I know that the first Enola Holmes had way more attention on it than it otherwise would have had. And because Millie Bobby Brown is in it, and
she's a big thing.
People will just click.
And you can't make stories about straight white guys anymore. You have to make them about their obscure sister character that was barely referenced, right? So...
Yeah.
Yes, basically.
Lame.
What was it? Enola Holmes they mentioned in the 4th season of Sherlock when it wasn't even Sherlock anymore. It was like a weird government. It wasn't even like I remember the 4th season of Sherlock being bad. If I remember, it was the 3rd or 4th that had a sister.
I don't know. I didn't keep up with it after 3. I think.
Okay. If she wasn't, then it was in the 4th season that she was in. But yeah. But I'm preferential to the Johnny Lee Miller version. The TV version. So, all right. Then, do you want to tell us about Aqua?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Everyone was wondering why Barbie Girl isn't going to be featured in the soundtrack of Greta Gerwig's Barbie movie.
Why not?
And it is disappointing, not gonna lie.
Maybe it's gonna be a secret. Maybe they're keeping it a secret, and then it's gonna go blam right as the credits hit, and then it plays.
Nah, we would know. But their stated reason is that it would be way too cheesy to put it in the movie and it's too on the nose, but I think that's BS because like the whole point of the movie is that it's going to be self-referential and funny and cheesy in exactly that way.
They should make it a horror movie.
Why do you want everything to be a horror movie?
Because if they're going to do self-referential, I'd rather see self-referential horror.
Well, we already know it's not going to be that, though.
I know.
Because we've already seen the filming.
Winnie the Pooh was going to be horror, but this could have been horror too.
I have high hopes for this movie.
Imagine taking like horror and mixing it with like the weird modern fascination with female true crime, and then it becomes instead of a girl boss who rips people off with her blood device like Elizabeth Holmes. It's a female Barbie serial killer. Let's go. Let's go.
That's boring. I don't think you need that.
You're wrong. I could be wrong.
I resent the song being absent from the movie, but it makes sense.
What's
because
the justification? They couldn't get the rights to it, or they just didn't
well,
want it?
Mattel already tried and failed to sue Aqua for making this song in the 90s, and
so there's like bad blood.
yeah, so that means there's bad blood involved, and
Maybe they can do the Hollywood.
it would just be awkward.
The Hollywood trope of all trailers having like moody covers of songs. It'd be funny if they had like a dark, moody cover of Barbie Girl for the trailer.
You just want this to turn into a dark comedy, don't
Yes.
you?
Okay, yeah, it doesn't have to be horror.
I think
you should find a
it's
different
gonna be
movie.
satirical and like have adult friendly humor anyway. Like that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they don't try to make some feminist statement with it.
I strongly believe it will have feminist undertones. If Greta Gerwig's involved, it's going to have feminist undertones.
I mean, just based on the fact that they casted an actual white blonde chick as Barbie, like that in itself is a pleasant surprise.
It's that is very surprising. So what song could they replace it with? If they were to put a song there, what do they put there?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
There's nothing that iconic is the thing, and I get that there's bad blood, but I kind of wish the singer had like rolled with it. Had been like, yeah, you can license it for this movie. In some ways, like, doesn't she make money off of that?
Yeah, they would have.
I feel like it's too bad that she isn't. There's nothing quite the same. Like, you
Maybe
could
put Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Close enough.
no,
Yeah.
it's not really the same thing. Like, you need the Barbie Girl song.
Yeah, I don't think anything else can measure up.
We will have to see what the tone of the movie is to figure out what the music will be in the film.
Yeah, we'll need to make
Given
our
the
own
given the
soundtrack.
shots that we saw looked extremely 90s, it'll probably be 90s music.
Yeah, but they might go like
Do you know it's a 90s song about
spanning
Barbie?
across different eras
Yeah.
of her aesthetic,
Yep.
which would be cool to
When
see.
does the Barbie movie come out?
Next year.
In the summer, like I think July.
Yep.
Yeah.
And before we go, I want to give an update to a story we did yesterday. Yesterday, we covered that Netflix was getting slammed, all capitals, for including a LGBTQ tag on the new Jeffrey Dahmer series. Well, they removed it because the backlash was too much.
They bent the knee.
They bent
I
the
think
knee.
that's crazy.
What, that they put the tag on there?
That they would remove
That they
it.
removed it.
Oh, that they removed it. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Well, they're acting.
I believe
like,
that they would. I just think it's insane. The fact that he was gay was a huge part of Jeffrey Dahmer's psychology and ideology
Yeah.
and his actions. Like, that's one of the reasons he selected the victims he did. To not include it is inaccurate. And just because people feel like we don't like this kind of representation, like, that's crazy.
And it's undeniable also that you're also representing the victims who were all gay, and the excuse that I mean, it's also undeniable that he got away with certain crimes, like for instance when one of his victims went to police and was like barely hanging on by a thread to live. He didn't survive simply because Dahmer excused it as like, oh, we're just like in a gay relationship and like
having an argument, and police
we're
were
having
like,
an argument, and police, because probably of their ingrained biases
yeah.
Or-
about the gay community,
or
allowed
the lack
them
of understanding about
yeah
that.
allowed him to get away with that, and that led to the death of one of his victims.
Yeah.
So you cannot deny that this is a part of LGBT history. It's just a messy one that they don't want to shed light on.
There was a prominent political donor who donates to Democrats primarily in LA, and I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but I did write about it for the site. He just got sentenced to, I forget how many years, I think several life sentences, because he is gay, and he specifically would go out looking for young black gay men and offer them exchange for money or
Oh,
drugs.
yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
and he he had multiple men die at his apartment.
Like, and he got away with it like twice, right?
Twice.
Before, like,
but we don't know how many victims he actually had, right? So
like where he would call the cops and they'd be like, there'd be a dead gay male, like black male prostitute in his apartment, and he got away with it.
Some were prostitutes and some were just like people who were addicted to drug. Like he specifically targeted people. Like in some ways you would think Netflix would see it as their social responsibility to show that like there are predators who move in all kinds of circles, and they can specifically be active in closed or like minority sexual identities, right? Like these men were at specific risk because they were gay.
But think about this, they didn't also tag it under POC or like they have segments for that too, for like sharing black stories, sharing POC. Like they didn't tag it that, but they did tag it under the others. But
that was part of Dahmer's psychology as well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like we're making this expose, dramatized retelling about the serial killer, but not addressing the elephants in the room about
because
why he did what he did.
You want to be able to control the narrative of what elements of your culture that you get to export to the rest of the world to see, and that doesn't sit totally right with me. Like at the same time, I understand the argument that they wouldn't tag it if he was killing straight people stories. So,
but because that is the default statistically.
Have you guys seen the movie My Friend Dahmer?
Yeah. And I think that continuing on Dahmer after that is just overkill.
Well, I thought in some ways My Friend Dahmer, which tells, for anyone who hasn't seen it, the story about Jeffrey Dahmer from the perspective of one of his, I want to say friends, but like someone he went to high school with, basically, who kind of was friendly-ish with him. Because it was like who he was to people he knew at that time, and it ends with just before he commits his first murder, just after turning 18. And in some ways, I found that really interesting because it's a way to discuss the serial killer without like necessarily talking to. Because like the thing is, the new movie, as far as I know, they didn't contact any of the families of his victims, right? Like they're not involved in this, even though they are. The stories of their loved ones is about to be rehashed in the public eye.
And their own stories.
Right. And whereas My Friend Dahmer was written, I believe it's an adaptation of a graphic novel that was really written by someone who knew him. And so it's more intricate, and it also talks about who this person was without sort of using his crimes to make money.
And without gratuitous exposition of exactly what happened, because you can find those details anyway.
Yeah.
It should reveal details that you wouldn't necessarily think of or know just from, the criminal cases.
I don't know if you remember it, but when the Ted Bundy movie came out that Zac Efron starred in, it was also a Netflix movie. I thought it was interesting, but one of the big criticisms was like, you're glorifying Ted Bundy. You're acting like he's too pretty, but like famously Ted Bundy was handsome, and women really did find him charming, and like even after he went to prison, women were like obsessed
and if you're
with
scandalized by that, it's like, okay, we shouldn't make a movie about him then.
But I could understand where if you were the families of one of the girls that he murdered, you don't want anyone making a movie about this person because why should anyone profit off of the death of your loved one? The same way that there's a rise in YouTube creators who will like do their makeup while telling true crime stories. Like that also seems like it's in an ethical gray area, because they say they're bringing awareness, but also like none of the money that you make, as far as I know, goes to the families.
That's why you shouldn't virtue signal. Just say, I'm making creative content for people to consume. It's not my problem to. Unfortunately, it's not my business to do that. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying don't pretend that you're doing it for one reason when you're clearly not.
Right.
Like, own it. Own what you're doing.
Yeah.
So let's go to Super Chats.
Caper2X said, oh, no, I need to stop watching YouTube, said Britney's pears. Okay.
It's like Britney Spears, but Britney's pears.
Tacti Plati said, I genuinely liked Last Airbender live action movie, even with its flaws. Amazing soundtrack, and I'm glad you liked the hazmat suit meme, Brett.
I did. I liked it.
I don't know if I trust you anymore. That was objectively one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Josue Cuervo said, firearms don't just go off without somebody to hold accountable. What a POS. Garnering sympathy from ignorant people.
I would love
He's
to.
relying on all of the propaganda that guns fire themselves,
Yep.
which is ridiculous in the first place.
Also, because this guy was a trained rifle guy. Like, his dad taught the rifle team at his school. Like, he knows guns don't go off by themselves.
But he knows there are a lot of ignorant people out there who think that, they just
But also, like,
can't trust it.
I wonder if, like, okay, so the gun goes from the armorer to what, the second director or the assistant director, and the assistant director checks the weapon, says cold gun, hands him the gun. I would like to know if in Hollywood other actors also check the weapon after being handed their firearm from another assistant director, right?
You should at least know how to.
Or at least do they check to see if the ammunition in there are blanks? Are they trained to know what blanks look like?
No, the answer is probably no to every question.
So at that point, and it's also a relevant portion to it is also the fact that he was a producer on the movie.
Yeah.
So he's culpable in more than one area.
Yeah.
So
Waffle Sensei said he will pay a settlement to the family, but that's all.
probably.
Yeah.
That would be my guess as to what happens. I would be pleasantly surprised.
But
if
my
other,
children, my
Yeah.
Spanish wife,
like cucumbers and such.
my
My
cucumbers.
pseudo-Spanish wife.
Johnny Derp said Eddie Murphy has 10 kids and no pullout game. Evidently, yeah.
Good
I
for
think that's on purpose, just for reference.
good for Eddie. But yeah, it would be bad if we found out that he was just mistiming himself
Whoops.
every time, and then she got pregnant every single
I
time.
don't know what the agreements he has with these wives are like, or these ladies are like.
Is Eddie Murphy? Are they all with different people?
Most of them are with different people.
Eddie Murphy.
Not Eddie Murphy.
No, this person's
With
talking.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Nick
mixing.
Cannon.
Nick Cannon.
Is that.
This is Eddie Murphy.
Is the
I don't.
multiple baby mama situation. Eddie Murphy comes from a different time period where
Yeah.
that was a little bit
Eddie
less
Murphy,
acceptable.
I think, does have like 3 though.
No, this one says Eddie Murphy has 10 kids.
Yeah, but no. I mean, he has like 3 baby mamas.
3 baby mamas.
Yeah.
Not Nick Cannon's like 7 or 8.
Yeah, his harem. Mike Garland said, what is GWAR?
Guar
Guar?
Yep.
What is it?
band.
Oh, Guar. Adam Levine isn't even worth killing, even if he's a dip bleep. Hail our alien overlords. Discuss.
I say leave. For Adam Levine,
What about Guar?
I have no opinion on Guar.
Neither do I.
I have no opinion. Yeah, not really. Not my genre.
I don't think anyone said anything about Minecrafting Adam Levine either.
No, but I am fine with him being shamed for his lack of game for the rest of eternity. Like, it doesn't need to be phrased in the term
like he
of.
shouldn't have game.
It
He's
shouldn't be
married.
phrased in the terms of he accused of flirty messaging, but he should be like, look how bad this guy is at flirting with women, and that should be the headline.
Do you think that DiCaprio's probably bad at texting women too, or is he more of a phone call guy?
He probably does. He probably calls, or he probably meets them
Keeps
in
it
person. Like he
traditional.
was like Gigi Hadid or Bella Hadid recently, right?
Gigi.
Gigi.
Yeah.
There you go. I couldn't tell.
She's married, right? Or was she? Did she break up with Zayn Malik?
Yeah.
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. I just know they
They
were
were
together.
also never married.
I do
Yeah.
laugh at how like a lot of the smart celebrities now are still wearing their masks because they realize it keeps them from being recognized in public.
Yeah.
So they're not even necessarily like big on whether it's actually helping them. They just want to stay private. I saw Cara Delevingne was seen like going somewhere with a mask on recently. I'm like very clearly to prevent people from being able to recognize her.
Yeah. Siani Reese said, I normally agree with you guys on pop culture, but this time I don't with Avatar. Love you guys, even when we disagree. Have a great day.
Hey, that's what it's all about, man. But
Thanks
it's
for
like,
being nice about it.
The joke was
You're
always
just
like,
wrong.
there have been multiple channels that I love that made that same comment that they thought it felt like, not like they didn't say Psy-Op, but they're like, who the hell are the people that actually like it? But most of them, after they made that video, would come back and be like, okay, I checked the comments, and apparently a lot of people
It's
seem to like
weird.
Avatar.
It weirds me out that people like it.
Like-
I don't understand the appeal
Like,
at all.
I've never gone to a friend who has a lot of posters in his house and seen an Avatar poster.
Yeah, I wish,
I've never had somebody say,
No.
I
want to
wish-
watch Avatar.
Who is emotionally invested in the franchise? That's what I want to know.
I just wish someone who said like comments that like say what you liked about it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
cool that you liked it. Just tell me why.
Yeah, and if it's the visuals only, then sure, I get that. But also, that's not how I judge movies. That's the reason a lot of people like art house films. It's like the cinematography is what they appreciate about it more than the story.
I love
And
that
I don't
stuff.
relate to that.
I love that stuff, but I also love it when Jason Statham drives a jet ski off of a bridge and lands in the back
And that
of
can
the
be
truck.
done well too. That can be done artfully as well. Johnny Derp said, "The New Testament is a sequel. That is all."
Is that true?
They're just gonna stop all of the super chats with "that is all"
That is all.
to make you laugh.
It makes me laugh.
Is the New Testament a sequel? I suppose so.
All right. All right. All right, Hannah Claire, thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on timcast.com. Click on the read tab. You can see work from me and the rest of our journalists in the newsroom. You can find me on Instagram at hannahclaire.b, and you can find me on Gab at hannahclaireb. To be fair, I actually never post there, but I like it in concept.
Perfect. Mary, let everyone know they can find you.
You can no longer find me on WeChat, but you can find me on Instagram at Mary Archived. And whenever I post articles on timcast.com, I promote them there.
Wait, you're not on WeChat anymore?
No, I'm not on WeChat anymore.
Why not?
Well, I'm defecting. This is awkward.
Perfect. Well, that topic today made perfect sense
Yeah.
then. Guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at Breckdastic. For the show, we are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. We are also on social media, Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. If you would like to listen rather than watch, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.